Ready? All right, let's go. Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, April
18th.
Thank you, 18th. I call the select board meeting to order at 6:22. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And announcements. The Worcester Regional Transit Authority is seeking a rider community representative to sit on the WRTA Advisory Board. Volunteer is a volunteer one-year position with voting rights. Excuse me. Those interested should contact the Select Board office at selectmen@brookfieldma.us to apply. The deadline to apply is June 1st. Tonight's meeting is being recorded by the town. Is anyone else here recording? Mr. Kelleher with the fancy gear. All right. And let's see, Brad, could you run the warrants for us?
Yes. FY 24-21 payroll $197,922.81. FY 24-21 accounts payable $455,791.41. And this week there's no withholding warrant.
Okay. All right, moving on to the agenda. Agenda item number 1 is the host community agreement with Sun Fusions for their manufacturing operations. Yes.
Me and KP didn't properly connect.
Okay.
I have a draft that got delivered. I think it's sitting in my email right now. I think it got delivered this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I have not had a chance to review it or have any discussion with Nicole. So she's supposed to, or it may be in my email, it might not be coming until tomorrow morning. It needs to get reviewed, discussed, and then sent back over to Mr. Fromm for his council review.
Okay.
So we've made some progress, but we're not there yet.
So we should consider. Is this likely to be May 2nd, our next regular scheduled meeting 2 weeks from today?
Could do it.
I'll put it on the draft agenda. You can, if it's not ready, you can let me know.
Well, it'll be ready before the 2nd of May.
Okay.
Do you want to do it next week?
I'd prefer to do it next week. If
We already have meetings Thursday and Friday next week,
Okay.
and we also have the town administrator interviews tomorrow night.
Okay. So I know we have meetings next week. It might be something we can handle in open session before one of the meetings next week. So if we have it by Monday or Tuesday, let's consider putting it on the agenda, but put it on the 2nd for sure.
Okay.
And then if we can pull it in, we will.
Okay, that's fine. Just let me know I would say the other matter, we want to start on time, so we're going to have to get here before 6:15. We're going to have to be able to finish the open session before 6:15.
Okay.
All right, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
We can talk about that offline. That's agenda setting.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Do we need a motion to pass that over, or was our discussion sufficient?
I think that's discussion was sufficient.
All right. So, agenda item number 2, request to use the banquet hall for public meeting on Sun Fusions. So that was a request from Mr. Fromm, and I believe Mr. Fromm, is that meeting required by state law?
Yes.
Okay, that's the detail I wanted.
1, it's a public meeting, and 2, I don't think we can deny any group for any reason thus far.
Well, my one concern was that because it was a private company, that I wasn't sure, but given that it's required by law, I think that's sufficient justification to that there is a rationale for using the public space for that meeting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
Yeah. All right, and let's see, and that's on Wednesday evening. So let's see, I would say we should. The clerk's office is open until 8 o'clock on Wednesday, so the building is open to the public during this time.
Okay.
I think just with the stipulation that.
I think the other question is do we have any concern that it will exceed the room capacity?
Okay, I was going to get there. I would say that who
doubt
is
it.
capable of what do we know what the rated capability is?
Yes. What do you think?
What's
No
that?
idea.
175.
This room?
Posted on the board outside.
We might want to get that redone because that's before that went in. But you know what? 170,
It
even,
was pointed out to me by the fire chief 2 days ago.
so,
Nobody noticed.
175, I mean, I think we'll, given that it's,
They haven't changed. You think we'll have 175?
so,
I doubt that. I would say that, I think if you get 40, I'd probably be
We'll
surprised.
have to know, coffee, pastry.
You know, maybe we could do like a lottery.
brownies?
Finger food,
Here's jelly beans.
I've got some gum candy. All right, so,
Probably not that kind.
I know. All right, so I think with the stipulation that there's a hard stop at 8 o'clock when the town hall closes, and with the general expectation that the room is in good shape when it's done, I think that there's no reason to say no.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for the banquet hall use for the public meeting for Sun Fusions.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing as there's none, all in favor of of approving the use of of Beth's motion regarding this room in the Sun Fusions meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that is approved. Karen?
Yeah.
Next time we have a request use like this, please remind me to put the date of the meeting in just for in the agenda for clarity.
Absolutely, yes.
And also just for
Yep.
reference, 'cause I'm looking at the agenda, I don't know when we approved it for, and I had to go look it up on the side,
Okay,
so,
perfect.
thank you.
Yep, I'll do that.
See, agenda, so that's number 2. Number 3, 18 Common Street, accessibility requirements, discussion. Beth, this is your lead.
Oh, okay, yep. So, first of all, let me just see, is the email included?
Yes, it's in there.
Great. So, I received an email from the library director, okay? And I believe, did you forward it to the other members?
Yeah.
I,
Perfect.
they all
So
got it.
you all have seen it, right? So, and you know what, I didn't come here ready to cite all of the various and sundry mass general laws associated with this, but however, okay. We have a situation where private entities who have no obligation under open meeting law, who are using that building for their own purposes, with the permission of the library, groups that support our community, like the community club, okay, like the Scouts, okay, are getting harassed, and it is harassed, okay, by Mr. Holcraft, when they are using that building. And they are under no restrictions. They're private groups. Their meetings are open to the public. There's, while it's, it's nice if an area is ADA compliant, it's not governed by state or federal law. They are private entities. They have no obligation to meet accessibility standards. And they don't need to get harangued by somebody who's got no business being at their private meeting. Okay. And then from the Attorney General's site regarding meetings, right? It's kind of their opinion that we've overstepped our authority, right? To give a dictate of no meetings at 18 Common Street. Okay, or no open meetings at 18 Common Street. So, yeah, so.
Even for committees that are creatures of the select board, effectively, that are appointed by us.
Yeah, so, and this is the open meeting law information. So, you know,
Well, I think what this is saying, what I understood before, is if somebody requests accommodations, then the accommodations have to be made.
absolutely. But the person who requests the accommodation has to have standing. Okay?
Yes.
So somebody who is not registered or certified as disabled has no legal standing to demand additional support for use of the building in order to attend a meeting. Right? I'm a disabled vet, but I can do stairs. Okay? I don't personally have standing to demand assistance to get to an open meeting. Okay?
Mhm.
Now, if my condition deteriorated to the point where I couldn't do 4 stairs, then I would have standing, particularly if it's posted in the open meeting, in the open meeting indicating, you know, who to contact for access, so long as there's appropriate notice, and it's up with an appropriate amount of time. There's no reason why even our committees can't meet there, okay? And yes, we appoint the committees, but we appoint them, they elect their own officers, and if their officers determine to hold a meeting in that space, can we forbid the use of that building? Yes. Do we actually have any means to enforce that? No. That's the concept of being central government.
Mhm.
Okay. We don't actually, can advise, but the chairs are, and then we can unappoint people if we feel like appointing.
That sounds like you're saying that would be our only recourse, and that's a blunt tool.
It is very blunt, right? So, you know, they've sent information to the town committees, right? With the time change from 48 hours to 7 days, so they're complying with the Mass.gov requirement. So any one of our committees that's obligated to adhere to open meeting law, who chooses to use that building, instead of being able to post only 48 hours before the meeting, must post 7 days prior to the meeting, to give somebody who has accessibility needs and requirements the opportunity to contact somebody in order to get somebody to assist them into the building.
Okay.
Okay. Now I have also spoken with the library directors, and originally they were gonna spend private monies from the Friends of the Library to just go ahead and get a more accessible route in for June of this year. That was the original plan. I have since discussed with Brenda that they've reviewed some of the options for doing that and consulted with people with grant writing knowledge and people with knowledge relative to Massachusetts historical preservation type both rules, regulations, and laws. And it may be that we may not be obligated to do full ADA compliance accessibility into that building, because not only is it in the historic district, but the building itself is on the historic registry.
Mhm.
Okay. So their recommendation now is that we hit pause on the physical changes to the building for accessibility and apply for grant money for a study to determine what level of ADA access is required given the historical status of the building, which makes sense. So, and it would in particular make sense for us to back off of our edict, not to use that for any open meetings, given both the recommendation by the library, which has control over the building, to do a 7-day versus a 2-day posting if they choose to use it for an open meeting. And given that, you know, the reason for pausing on the ADA movement forward of the physical changes to the property is due to historical preservation. striking the balance between those two competing, call it requirements, okay, or call it, needs of the community. So my recommendation is that we vote today to allow our, committees to use the meeting space if they so choose. If we want to advise them not to do it for something that's like a public hearing, I think that's reasonable, but I think it's an advisement. And I do think that we need to send a formal letter to Mr. Holcraft to not harass people, particularly people who are associated with organizations that have no obligation under what he's screeching about, to cease and desist. And I think we need to explore, what options we have to curtail the behavior towards private entities and private people who cannot be treated that way when they're on our public property.
Mhm. I mean, I'm in agreement that it seems obvious to me that if the town is allowing meeting space, then the allegation is that the space should not be made available, it's not accessible. It's not the problem with using it. It's the problem of that. It's like dealing with my 5-year-old, my daughter when she was 5 years old. It's like when I said her brother could play Switch and she didn't want to play Switch. It's like she'd get mad at him. It's like, I said he could play Switch. You need to talk to me about that. Don't get mad because I said your brother could do something and you don't want to do it.
Right.
You need to talk to me. It's like that's like juvenile behavior.
Right. So, but I just don't want people to feel threatened on town property when they're doing something for an entity that's not associated with the town and hence don't have any of the obligations that is being indicated.
Now what this means is that in order to be consistent with your understanding of the open meeting law, the agenda would have to be posted and it could not be changed inside that 7-day window.
So
Because-
they could take stuff off, they couldn't put stuff on.
That makes sense to me. And that's reasonable. It's like you take something off, you're not making anyone want to get in there. You can't add or change an agenda item.
Right.
But you may remove items from the agenda within 7 days. That to me is reasonable because that still means that no one's going to get surprised with a last-minute agenda change within
Right.
like 50 hours out, and all of a sudden it's like.
And I would just recommend rather than taking stuff off, that they would pass it over.
Mhm.
But fundamentally, yes, it would lock their agendas.
And I think that's a reasonable method of adhering to the law. And that is consistent with, I talked to Kathy LaRocca, who had been the town's ADA coordinator in the past.
Yep.
And what you're telling me is consistent with what she told me when I discussed this issue with her.
So that's what our obligations are.
Mhm.
And it's in the interest of the town to make the best use possible for the community, the properties that we have, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now we have 2 main eating areas. It's like, you want to meet in the kitchen, that's the third one, but that doesn't hold many people.
No, not anymore.
No.
It was different when the kitchen was a fairly big kitchen,
Mhm.
right? And a good example was the historical committee met in the building because of the fact that both here and the police station was taken on Thursday.
Mhm.
Right, so, we have to conduct business, and that's one of the ways that we conduct business, is by having the states conduct business.
Yeah.
So,
And with the understanding that we need the space, and if someone needs access, it's up to whoever had intended to use that room. If they're asked for an accommodation, then they need to move to another location at a time when they have locations available. that
well,
is accessible.
they either need to move to another location, or quite frankly, they can do things like, and this is one of the things we can empower our town employees to do. If somebody actually needs an assistant, we could we could see if our, you can go as far as to authorize the EMTs to assist people that need assistance with the state.
Mhm.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what a lot of towns will do for things like that, because they either have grants or they have the knowledge and the capability to move the person and any of their appliances and have them built.
Okay, that's, I didn't think that would be an option, but if it is, then it is.
Well, I know it is when you're doing, I know it is for ADA accessibility when political committees are doing it, because the town committees, which are Republican and Democrat, they have to hold their meeting in an ADA accessible space or make sure that there's sufficient assistance available for people that require it.
Because fundamentally, the law is intended to allow participation,
Right.
and therefore, if
It doesn't
there's
have to be convenient, it just has to be that somebody has to get you through the door.
Mhm.
So it's the motion.
So the motion is,
Comments?
nope. Well, it's your meeting, but my understanding is we're not taking public comment.
Well, I'm sorry, it says discussion on the agenda.
It is discussion among the board, Mr. Banish, not among, in general, the board is not taking public comment. And at the moment, I'd be happy to discuss things with you afterwards.
It's only avoiding another aspect of the reason we bought into the town.
Mr. Banish, we can discuss this afterwards. It's, so, the motion.
So the motion would be, my motion is that, I've got two issues that I want to cover. The first is I'd like to make a motion that we reopen 18 Common for use by town committees, if their chairs so choose.
Subject to.
Subject to the 7-day notice requirement in the meeting, including freezing their agenda.
Second.
All right, let's see, for discussion, if there's another motion, can you give me a hint of what it's gonna be? You said there were gonna be too many in the first one.
Well, that's what
I'm not asking you to make the motion, I'm just telling you, it's like, all right, I'm good with this one, it's just like, all right, is there any, among the board, is there any discussion amongst, on Beth's motion?
No.
All right, let's see, then all in favor of Beth's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the next motion.
My next motion is that I would like to make a motion that we consult with KP regarding our options about the perception that we have a public official harassing private individuals on the property and identify what our options are. Relative to impacting that behavior.
That's the motion?
Yep.
Second?
Okay, let's see. I'm getting ahead of myself in my head, but
You are getting ahead of yourself in your head. That's the motion, that's all the motion
I
is,
know,
is that
I
we
know. Let's- all right.
consult with,
to talk to the lawyer. Let's see, if there,
because I consider this a written complaint.
Yes.
Okay, I consider this
That's pretty clear.
a written complaint.
mhm,
I would like to consult KP regarding this written complaint about what our options
okay. Fair enough. All right, all in favor of Beth's motion, to talk to KP Law about the situation, and as she mentioned, please say aye.
Aye.
are.
Aye.
I got it.
All right.
Excuse me.
It's quarter of.
If we go quick, we can. hang on.
We can get everything done, yeah, we can skip over number 5 until 7 o'clock since it's listed for 7 o'clock. And then, and just so I don't know if all the board members know, but the advisory committee did not post their meeting, so they will not be meeting with us in session.
Okay, so the fact that Mr. Banish left is not a huge issue.
No, actually, helps the case.
Yes, it helps our case.
I did a brief explanation, I was moving meetings and I thought I posted it and I didn't. And we met yesterday, and so it's my screw up totally. I talked to all the committee members, they're okay. And so, we'll go ahead with what we have as an individual
Yeah,
or whatever. If you have questions.
So when the time comes, we will be able to have a productive discussion, it just will not be with the entire advisory committee.
Roger.
And no decisions to be made.
Yes.
Well, no decisions for them.
Right, for
Yes,
us.
but for you, yes.
All right, but first, agenda item number 4, special municipal employees. And so, at a past meeting, we made the board voted to name employees, special municipal employees. And the matter in front of us is to refine that and to specifically name which employees are designated as special municipal employees.
Okay, so I have a problem with the way this has all been phrased.
Okay.
I'm gonna just tell you straight up. So the motion was, we would come back to enumerate the positions unless exempted by law, okay? We have a list of names in front of us, okay? We never should have collected a list of names. What we need is to define which positions are the special positions that allow for multiple appointments. It's that simple. I don't understand why we scramble to get a list of employees when tomorrow Matthew Graves could say, I don't want to be a volunteer fire or EMT
Correct.
person.
Yes.
And we could put somebody else on who's a volunteer fire or EMT person, and then that person wouldn't be covered by this vote today.
Right, or if they were to go into a role.
That is.
That is,
exempt by law,
right.
Exactly. So what we need is the position. So, I know we said in the not too distant future, I guess our wheels turn slow, but that's okay, right? Is there any reason why this is it says Kelly requested the names to be listed, but that's not actually what we voted.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Can you tell just by looking at these to read off the positions, or should we come back with them?
I think we need to come back with them and
Okay.
have to double check
Yeah,
that
Okay.
they're not excluded positions.
yeah,
Okay,
Yes,
Mhm.
I agree, we need to.
yeah.
Because if we could vote this, we could accidentally vote in opposition to, one of the provisions that is exempted by law. So I think we need to understand what those exemptions are. So I'd make a motion that we pass this over for tonight and revisit it once we've sorted that out. Or have the town administrator that can sort it out.
Second.
All right, all in favor of passing this matter over and revisiting it at a future date, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and since we are not yet at 7 o'clock, can I get a motion to take the agenda out of order?
Make a motion to take the agenda out of order and finish the rest of our business.
Second.
All right, all in favor of taking the agenda out of order, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're gonna skip number 5, we're gonna go to number 6, carryover time, vacation time for Mike Duval. And Mike and, let's see, you guys, so Mike Duval, in the highway department, they have been short-staffed for a good chunk of the fiscal year. So,
Although his math is entertaining because he says he has just over 3 weeks when he has nearly 4. So.
okay.
That's amazing.
I didn't even look that closely. It's like,
And wow, I'm so glad that this is on camera because it saved me from saying some of the things that pop in my head. Oh, goodness.
all right, so I will take a motion to allow that carryover.
I'm gonna make a motion to allow the carryover, but I do wanna have some discussion before.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
So historically speaking, what we have started to do with people is tell them, like, how much time does he have with the town, do you know?
Duval, oh gosh, many.
So like, how
years, 20
much
years.
vacation?
No.
No, Mike doesn't have
No.
one.
Oh, how long has he been here?
No. Yeah, so I don't know how much vacation time he gets, but one of the things that we put into place previously was that they couldn't,
There's a cap on the roll.
well, it wasn't really a cap on rollover, it was that we'd allow the rollover, but give them a target of what the max rollover they would be allowed the following year.
Yes, a burn down
Yeah,
chart.
so so I made the motion to approve it, I'd like to make an amendment that we approve it with the understanding that he won't be allowed to carry over more than 100 and, let's see here. 40 hours next year. So he has to use all of his vacation plus 13 hours of what he's carrying over in this next coming year.
Brad, that's a motion to amend the motion.
Second.
Okay.
You
yeah.
wanna discuss it?
Yeah, discuss.
Yes, so discussion of the motion to amend the motion to put the cap as to how much he needs to, the maximum that we will entertain.
Not this year, but for
Yes,
next.
for next.
I
yes.
would just be cautious of the rules with rollovers and stuff like that. And talk with either HR or the treasurer.
Well, we're not obligated
Right.
to roll over.
Okay.
We have nothing in our bylaws, and we have nothing in our employee handbook that
Yeah.
says that we're gonna allow rollover.
No, I'm totally good for
Yeah.
rolling over.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned.
Well, now, historically, we just roll over
Yeah.
everything without any end, without anything.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, we started saying you could roll over, but
Yeah.
next year we'll only entertain a rollover.
Right, and given the circumstances, this makes sense. I just want to make sure we don't run into it like, hey, he was allowed to do it a couple of years ago.
There's precedent.
Right.
We started we started giving a, hey, we're gonna let you roll what you have this year,
Yeah,
but there's a cap to what you can do next year and shoot.
right,
We
right.
did it with Donnie Hoover.
Okay.
Before he retired,
Okay.
when he was retired, he started rolling a whole crap load of vacation over, and it's like,
Yeah,
wait, you know, you're gonna be taking it at the end, and you need to start taking some of it now,
right,
right?
yeah,
So, it is consistent with what we've done in the
Okay.
past, right? It was a little bit of a shift, and because we're not, and that's why I did like some quick math in my head, and,
Mhm.
and 130 is basically, he gets to roll over like a little bit more than 80%, it's like 85% of what he has now.
mhm,
So it's not like we're saying, oh, you have to take like all your, all of your rollover vacation, you just have to use all of your current, you'll have to use all your next year's vacation and burn down like,
Mhm.
2 days.
and hopefully we have more people working shortly that can take time off.
I would tend to ask him to, or instruct him to burn it down faster. I would.
Well, but he's gonna have his next year vacation too. So the problem, then it's a case of like, how much vacation do you really want your highway person to take?
Yeah, but my thought is that at least saying is like burn down the balance of the week. If he's at 153, he has
Almost for,
he has 19, effectively 19 days of vacation.
Yeah.
And saying, okay, then for next year, 50. And even then, it's gonna take 4 years for him to if we then did it 1 week a year, from 120 it would be 80 and then 40 and then he'd be done rolling it over. Which to me is, takes longer to burn it down than I would prefer. It just seems like just saying get down to 140 is, we're just gonna be, he's gonna be in position to roll it all over next year saying, yeah, I burned it down to 140 like you said.
as long as he's not trying to bring us 180 next year, I'll end up with that.
Mhm.
But,
Well, to my mind, but if he's, I think that's, I don't like the precedent we're setting of letting him carry such a big balance so far into the future. To my mind, I would rather clear, if you will, clear this off the books sooner. And so, and my thought is saying, we're gonna chop it down by a week every year is not an unreasonable,
So
so
what's,
basically,
so what's the week?
assuming you
So you're thinking 113?
I'm saying, I would make it easy and say, bring it to 120, and then after that, we do 40-hour chunks, because the thought is, I don't know how much vacation it's, let's say he got 4 weeks of vacation this year. It's like, he's carrying over almost 4 weeks. So he's gonna go next 7. We're expecting him to then use 5 weeks of vacation. And then he'll come out with, he'll have effectively carrying 3 weeks over next year. And if he burns it faster, that's great. But we're telling him, you need to take all of your 2025 vacation and burn through a
Okay,
week
you
of
know
that
what?
backlog.
The difference between 130 and 120, I'm not gonna fight over, so can I revise my motion? Or I'll make an amendment to my motion.
You already made the amendment.
I don't
Another
think we make an
amendment.
amendment. Can we just deny the motion and then you make another
Yeah, okay,
amendment?
let's.
Okay, all in favor of Beth's motion to add the requirements that he burn down the vacation to 140 hours by the end of next year, please say aye. All opposed say no.
No.
No. Beth, would you like to make another amendment?
Yeah, I'd like to, make a motion that we, amend that to putting a 120-day limit on his rollover next fiscal year.
All right, second? All right, okay, and I think we discussed this to death, so, all in order, if it,
You said 120 days.
120
Yes,
hours.
May the record indicate 120 hours is the intention of the board.
Yeah.
Is that, so all in favor of the amendment to put a limit of 120 hours on the rollover next year, please say aye. Aye. All right, Karen, please make sure that the minutes reflect our intention of walking down that over in following years.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's like analysis.
So we now have an amended motion to allow the carryover with the stipulation of a maximum amount that we will entertain carrying over next year.
Yep.
Which is 120 hours. All right, is there any further discussion on that? All right, all in favor of the motion to allow carryover with the limit of how much we carry over next year, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. And we are now time for the next discussion with Lindsay's carryover. So this
She's
Lindsay's
easier.
at 62 hours.
Right.
Which is,
Basically 2 weeks.
yes. And so I would say, using Mike's, using our previous discussion as a template, we would probably just want to figure out what we want to, the target we want for next year. And I'm thinking 28 hours, it's a little more than a week for her to burn down, but it gets her down to 1 week next year.
I think that's too aggressive though for.
Okay,
So we're only burning down a week of somebody that's got 4.
Mhm.
If we've got somebody that's got 2, it should be probably 3 or 4 days worth of hours. So I would put the max at 62 minus 24.
I would say she has less vacation, so she needs less time to burn it down. I wouldn't say
Oh,
that.
it's a. I'm just trying to keep the ratio consistent in terms of weeks of work.
Mhm.
So 40 hours is a week of work for him, 28 hours is a week of work for her.
Mhm.
So I think telling her to take a week less, like have a week less by the time she gets through the end of the year makes sense.
She has 63 hours, which
She has
is.
62 hours, if we subtract 28 hours from that,
Mhm.
it's,
That's, for her, that's 2 weeks and 6 hours. That's 3 8-hour days. My understanding is she works 3 8-hour days plus 4 hours.
okay.
So,
So it's basically, like you said, 2 weeks for her.
Mhm.
Right, we asked him to do 1/4 of his, so 1/4 of hers would be, gosh, I wish my brain actually still worked these days.
16 is the
Yeah,
closest
15
number.
and a half.
15 or 16, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess that's the different approach I'm taking. You're thinking to give them both the same amount of time to burn it down, and my approach is they should be burning it down at about a week per year. And therefore, since she has less carryover, she should burn it down faster, or she should burn it down in fewer years.
I think then you're treating these folks differently.
Okay.
So,
I don't think it's onerous to say every year you have to work through 1 week of your backlog every year. If she has less to carry over, she's getting treated differently because she has a different carryover amount, not because I'm applying a consistent. I feel like the expectation is consistent that you reduce your backlog by about a week every year. I see your point that you could also say, we expect you to work through your backlog within X number of years. I think both are valid frameworks. I think you're just thinking giving the same amount of time.
So,
I'm saying
yeah,
giving the
well,
same rate.
and so my issue with it is, once upon a time, not that long ago, when we really only started getting restrictions in place a couple of years ago, people could roll over months of vacation
Very
for
bad
years,
practice.
right? It's a horrible practice, right? But I don't think, I think we can, like, peel that back slowly, because a lot of the folks who have this vacation, to Brad's point, right? It's not that they don't wanna take their vacation, it's that when you're on a really short-staffed department, right? You have a tendency not to take the time off if you feel obligated to get the work done.
Mhm.
I don't wanna put Lindsay in a position just because she works fewer hours a week to have to take a greater percentage of her overall work hours off in a period of time when they're understaffed, transitioning superintendents. And I think she's covering for other departments right now. I don't think it's sensible of us to force her to take that extra vacation.
But if the general rule is they're both expected to work down their backlog by a week every year, then everyone's working through the same percentage of their work hours.
No, they're not, because she hasn't accumulated as much. So,
but
she's
she's,
still gotta take all of her vacation from this year coming, plus
Yes.
take at least a couple of extra days.
right. But that means that, but effectively, if you work 52 weeks a year and you are expected to reduce your vacation backlog by a week a year, then everyone is going to have take one extra week of vacation. And that's the same whether they work 40
I think we're
hours or
actually
20.
potentially hurting the town as well. At the end of the day, it doesn't hurt the person who's telling them to take vacation, because they're getting paid.
Mhm.
So, I don't think it's really smart at this point to give that direction, personally.
Mhm.
It's only a couple days difference hypothetically, she only works 4 days a week, so, well, right now we're fighting over 12 hours of work. But I still think percentage-wise, I think we need to drive it by percentage-wise instead of by an arbitrary week.
And so, I mean, it's not a hill I'm worth dying on.
So,
It's like, I've fought enough, and it's like, all right, fought is the strong word. I have discussed my point with as much as I think is necessary, that your proposal is valid, it makes sense, it's not the way I would approach it, but it's not that important. It's important that we set the limit and we move it down. So
I think the reality is once we have enough people down there, I'm sure she's gonna take off some time.
Right, or somebody filling the grant writer role, or any of the other things
Yeah.
that she's helping us with right now.
Mhm.
So, I don't wanna put her in a position where it's like she has to basically flip us the bird and take some vacation time because we need your help.
Right.
Cause that's the position we're putting ourselves
So-
in by telling her to take the extra week.
So effectively, we are setting the
I-
expectation in general that if there's carryover, we're going to be off that,
That she can't carry over more than 46 next year.
but that in general, we're going to be looking to offer people 4 years to work through their backlog. No matter, it's like, my thought is if someone's looking to carry over a couple days, we might not be consistent with that. If someone wants to carry over 3 days because they didn't go on vacation. but we'll deal with that.
I think, yes, I think you could deal with hypotheticals all day long, but right now I'm mostly concerned with never again having to approve 240 days of carryover, which I have seen at one point.
Mhm. Yes,
So,
we are all in agreement.
for 240 hours. We actually had somebody who was close to 6 months of vacation at one point. I think that's
I'd
really
like 1 week.
So I think I started the discussion without the motion, so.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve her carryover with some wording that she not exceed 46 hours carryover next year.
Second.
And that's 16 hours, that's a 16-hour reduction?
If my math is good,
46, 62.
62 minus 16, I believe,
Is 46 in my head. All right, I'm good. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion for Lindsay's carryover, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we are now at 7:08, we have gone further than that. All right, so.
and the last thing we have is the requested deficit expense, snow and ice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's bang that out and then we'll jump to advisory.
Okay.
So I think Civic Plus.
I'll make a motion to approve the deficit spending of, snow and ice of, $9,947.70 for wages and $2,388.91 for expenses.
Second.
All right, and thank you, and Beth, to clarify, those are the remaining balances in the account, they are not yet deficit spending.
Okay,
That my understanding is they need authorization to deficit spend before the account's going to deficit. And then therefore, we are still positive balance, but just in case it's a freak snowstorm, they don't want to be caught short.
got it, all right.
We're
And
just
so,
allowing.
for the
Oh,
law,
yeah. Okay, I
Yeah.
thought they needed that amount.
no, because in an expense account, you cannot deficit spend without, it's like they need an authorization to deficit spend the expense account. They could deficit spend the wages account. MGL allows that. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of authorizing the highway department to deficit spend the snow and ice accounts if needed, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There we go. And now the budget.
So we need to, level funded at the 25,300.
Karen,
Yes.
does our copy put the stapler here?
And that was
Well, the
Or is that you?
electric stapler does. No, I put the stapler there.
so we should
The electric
remember
one
that.
doesn't do a corner because you can't stick a corner in there, so
That's why
you don't like it over there?
I'm not a fan.
I can,
It's okay.
I will manually staple your papers one time.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, we double that.
Yeah, so basically, we give her 6%. So we only wanted to give her 3%.
And,
Yeah.
all right, and for the audience at home, I think we mentioned it before, but the advisory committee is not in session because they are not in a posted meeting, so they're meeting with a non-quorum amount of members for a discussion with them. But it will be a productive discussion. So, hi Jeff, hi Sarah.
Hi.
For priority, I would like us to do the warrant articles first, because the warrant book and the article language will need to go to the lawyer for review, and I think the budget is less likely to need the lawyers to look it over. I think just the accountant looking it over will be sufficient, and that's more in her wheelhouse anyway. And so just if we run up against time, which I think we don't get cut short, but I want to do what needs to get done first. So, The select board has already reviewed the money articles for the warrant, and we have made our initial recommendations, and has the advisory come up with any, have you made your recommendations on the articles?
Yes,
Okay, and so if so,
we'll start.
are you,
We have had an initial discussion, we got all this information late, we were working on the budget. We went over the line item Excel spreadsheet. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were basically in agreement with what Beth had recommended at the last selectmen meeting and had been voted on by the select people as far as how to get all the articles into the free cash that was available. Since that discussion, we have not taken a vote, but I believe that we would have a negative not go along with the purchase by whatever method of the backhoe. Everything else, I believe we would vote yes. So that's the only item that we had any particular issue.
Okay, so you all are advising against the backhoe?
Right, as far as we haven't taken the official vote, I'm just saying I've taken an unofficial vote.
Okay,
It's probably gonna be 3-2, so that's no.
alright. No, I mean, that's their purview, they don't have to, they're advising and they're advising no on the backhoe.
yeah, and that's.
We had a further,
Just for curiosity's sake, what's the reason for it?
two things, further, Bob Barnes was expressly against using debt to purchase tobacco. Then he said that they could still work whatever the machine that they have down there now, that they could still use it because it was simple enough for the people there to be able to work it. Otherwise, it goes back to the dealer and he charges an arm and leg. So Bob again is always for, saving money. So he felt that we could still use what we had plus the mileage on the whatever we have is fairly low. I think it's still within range of what is acceptable. So given all the other items over there, he said, or they
I believe
said
there's
no.
some structural issues with the machine.
Now, I'm iffy on my votes. My vote depends on a couple things. So I'm gonna get with Gary and meet with him one-on-one to talk about the backup. To get more information, to decide my, for sure.
I mean, they've been patching it all along.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it while they still had it ripped apart when they were rebuilding it over this last winter.
Yeah.
I know I'm not down there a lot, but,
Yeah,
and I'm very familiar with the maintenance that one does on those things. You can only rip those hydraulics apart.
So many
back together
times,
so many times.
Right. Well, Marty did
Before you
mention-
wind up dumping more money into it than what it's worth, quite frankly.
right.
So, and that was already pretty much, so if you were doing if you were a private corporation and you were doing the decision making on the fix or replace, you would replace on that one. And I don't know if Bobby understood that and I know that there are people that objected to using chapter 90 for, purchasing equipment. I think our intent was to go ahead and lease using chapter 90 since there's not enough money to actually do any real paving.
He was the most eloquent that I've heard him in 6 years in his denial of using that. So,
Yeah.
But again, that
What
sort
are
of
you saying? Don't use chapter 90 and
Right.
borrow for it?
don't use.
Don't use either.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to borrow,
No, he doesn't want to borrow and he doesn't want to use chapter 90.
so.
But again, it's a tough call, and if we actually come down with a vote with this further information, it might go the other way, but right now, we're at 3-2.
Jeff, I have a question. I'm looking at the numbers, and to square the circle, the select board decided to look at taking the backhoe out of off of free cash and either chapter 90 or debt. We just took the fuel system off the table,
Yep.
and we proposed moving $75,000 from capital stabilization to the roof stabilization. So that basically removed all three from the drain, and then, so that gives us, and that left us at by my numbers here, that leaves us at 37,900 and change. Now,
Is this your spreadsheet or am I not looking at the right thing?
I added these columns for
Oh,
my analysis. I added them in. So it's like, and so, but if we put the $40,000 for the highway wants for the new fuel dispensing system back in, that would more than exceed our free cash. And so, what did you have in mind, since you said you thought to leave that in? What other changes were you making to the
Well,
warrant
but we
articles in order to
would-
keep this under?
We were concerned about the tree one, the 55, or the tree 55,000, where we already have 40,000 from last year that hasn't been used.
Mhm.
And, we had some question, I'm not sure if it was a question or an issue on the Green Street thing, why do we need the extra 54, but those, we didn't have enough information to be able to say one way or the other.
The Green Street is because we need the money to finish the project. The project is in progress, and my understanding what did we use to fund that? Is that a grant?
Yeah, the grant, so I think, yeah, so I think the question was just, why was the difference between the grant and what we need so much? And why was the grant short so much? I think that was the only question that we wanted to ask.
I believe because the cost of everything has gone way
Right.
up.
That's
Is that-
my-
I
that's
assume-
my assumption.
When the grant was
Authorized.
Authorized.
Yeah.
and then when we got around to doing the project, the cost of things in that interval was resulted in the construction costs being higher than expected.
Okay,
And so in order to get it done, we have to put up more money to get the project done.
okay.
And so the grant money does not cover as big a part of the project as we want. We have to put some more of our money.
Okay.
And so that is why that's there. My understanding of the trees is that the tree money was being expended, I would say, slowly at first. We had Dennis in, I think near the beginning of the year, to ask him about this. And the explanation he gave was that after we authorized the money, it was a little slow getting onto Rusty's schedule. But what he said was that we should expect to see that. We should have expected to see that pick up over the winter.
I'm doing the warrants, I see it all the time
Yeah, do you know where we are
I
on
don't
that
know.
account?
right
I may be able to find it.
What's that?
now. But every warrant I've been signing.
The,
invoices.
what is the status of the warrant article account for tree work?
Oh, good, so he is expending his.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll be honest, when I was concerned that we had allocated this money and no one was doing anything with it.
Yeah,
And Dennis said that, no, we've been getting started, and he was expecting it to accelerate just based on our ability to get the vendor in to do the work.
okay.
And so therefore, it's like,
I just wanted to make sure that he
No,
had
but it's
a
a fair-
plan, yeah, a
It's a
plan
fair
for the money,
question.
yeah.
If we're not spending the money, why put more money in the account?
Yeah,
Is
I'm
it-
like,
It's a fair question.
yeah, he had a good amount, I thought he had like 20 grand or something. So
Yeah,
like,
and
yeah,
the amount of trees.
and I think he marked like over 100
We have,
trees.
we have
too.
more than enough trees
Yeah,
on the list to
on the
spend
list.
every penny we have and then some.
Okay, tree ordinance. That's the same.
So is the
Oh, no, I
55
can't see
for
what's in
more
there.
trees or the same amount of trees, or
This
the
is
costs
just-
have gone up, or?
I think it's more money because the money that's to be allocated for last time we put money in the tree warden for taking care of trees is not enough to take care of all the trees that we have. And I think we always knew that there was not enough money to take care of the problem, but it was we have a problem, we need to put some money in this so we can start, so that we are taking down more trees than die. And I suspect in the next 3 or 4 weeks, you're gonna be able to pick out which trees are dead, because they're gonna be the ones that don't have the leaves.
I mean, the regular tree warden expense only has $1,200 in it, but
Or 12,000.
he's using money that was already set aside, and I don't know if that's in this expenditure.
Yeah, I think it was.
So the annual town meeting, yeah,
Last year, right?
the
Right.
4-4 report, he had only spent, 14.4 of the $54,000
Right,
that was
that's what we were looking
Right.
at, just
Yeah.
right,
preliminary.
but it's tree cutting season. So
Yes,
between
yeah,
now
yeah,
and town meeting,
Yeah.
they're likely to spend most of that 40 grand.
And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they've spent a lot, because they've been
Right.
saying
It
it
just
on
hasn't,
warrants.
it just hasn't been invoiced yet. I mean, it's.
No, a lot of
it's
them
not.
have been invoiced.
Okay.
Yeah,
As I say, yeah, he's seeing it on the warrant, it's been invoiced.
But it's not from this tree account, it's from the money that was, I don't know where.
Oh, no,
You know what I'm
he's
saying?
from the operating budget, probably.
Right.
Yeah, so so he spent a total so far this year, basically, if you include his operating budget, which they would spend first.
Yep.
And the warrant. So they've spent 6,000 almost.
Oh, okay, all right, so he has
Year to date.
Yeah.
And we're going into the
This-
second tree cutting
the
season.
season, yeah, I was gonna say, the weather hasn't been nice,
Yeah.
and, yeah, so now, okay, so he'll expend all of it, okay.
Yeah, the operating budget tree warden expense account has $1,260 in it.
Left, yeah.
So it is 90% expended. So given that, I would say the remaining trees being, so he has been removing trees.
Yeah. He
And
might
I-
not get all the way through 40,000, but I'd put money that he'll have.
They're gonna get
20
really
or 30.
close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be between 20 and 30 will be done
Yeah.
before
That's fine, Tom. I mean, as I said, we're in agreement with the warrant. We're sticking our sword where the committee is on that,
And that's
the backhoe, but that's the old.
We can let
all
the town
others.
decide. I mean, that's one of those ones where we can recommend it and you can recommend against it, we let the town decide, because we've got.
We always-
No, that's fine. At least hopefully this year we'll get our little things in bold in the
Yeah.
warrant rather
Yeah.
than last year, so.
Yeah.
If someone asks a question, we'll let Bob,
Talk
speak.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, can you remind me, did we, the thermal imaging device, did we recommend that or for that or against that?
I thought we recommended for everything that was placed.
Okay, everything but, yeah, just, okay.
We recommended pulling off the 3 items we needed to pull off to actually, well, not so much pull off as shift it from coming from free cash. And I can send you all the sheet, I fixed the formulas on that when I was doing it.
Okay.
When we did the math.
Pull it off, you pull it out of the free cash
Also,
bucket and
did
put it in a different
I
bucket.
don't know if that's working when I
I fixed
did-
the
oh.
formulas.
So Jeff.
No, you gotta
that-
fix the, column. No, actually, when it says. behind it.
So I must have done it on my own copy,
Right.
not
Yeah.
shared it back, so I'll share it back to y'all.
So are you all working on the same budget spreadsheet that Kelly originally made?
Them, no, I'm working off Kelly's, the one that's in our shared folder.
I'm working on
Okay.
the one that Karen sent me earlier
which came from the
today.
shared folder.
Yes.
So, but I asked Karen to send them copies of what we have, and I'm actually sending online copies
That's the
to
free
Brad.
cash.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
should
can
have
Are
have
you
that.
sure? That sounded like Karen
This
sent
one?
them the act.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, as long as we're
Right,
kind of
so-
same one.
No, what happened is, I saved
So,
it and
Jeff-
then sent it to them. I didn't, they can't
Coming back to the question.
use it. They can't
If
share it.
in your calculations, by taking backhoe out of free cash.
Yeah.
And taking roof stabilization out of free cash.
Yeah.
That's still, if you leave the fuel system in at $40,000, that still leaves us with free cash overcommitted by about $2,000.
We hadn't even considered the fuel since you took it off of the warrants.
Yeah,
We
never
can't
considered it.
recommend if it's not on the warrants.
Okay, all right, so.
We
so-
would like the fuel system in there if possible, but since it was taken out of the warrants, we didn't consider it.
Okay, that,
on the
okay,
second
that's,
go
okay,
around.
that's the part I was missing, thank you.
Yes.
I do know that.
We would be happy to vote it in if you found some other $2,000 somewhere and said, hey, let's do it, but.
I do know that, I received an email from Gary, I think there are other members on the board for,
Well, if you're looking for $2,000.
I mean, $2,000 we have, I thought it was quite
Well,
more than that.
So one of the questions I had in here was the survey and permanent marking, and we'd have to talk to Don, survey and permanent marking 601 high watermark on state-owned dam. Didn't Don send an email that he was getting that? I gotta look at that email. He sent an email that I thought someone was doing it at no cost. Or maybe I read that wrong.
Does that help you, Tom? I think
no,
more or less gone over
that
everything.
explains why, since you just said it's off the project, and so you weren't counting it against free cash.
Oh, I know.
That's why, and I understand, it's like, and so what I wanted to do is I wanted the board to talk about, whether we want to reconsider that, just given what I recall Gary's, sharing with us his perception of the urgency.
Right, and
Is
the
that he
reason
thought- he
that
thought it was important. I was, and I'll be honest, it's like, what he said was like, okay, I can understand why they're asking for that.
Yes.
And it's much less of the nice to have than I was originally thinking it was.
Well, I sort of changed my mind when I saw someone comment me on Lindsay's
Yeah, Lindsay,
information
yeah.
email,
Right, that one they have it.
and
Yeah, so there will be no cost.
it
Am I
seemed like
reading
it
that
was
right?
better
Right,
sooner
right,
rather than later. What I remember you said before was more nice to have, but based on everything he listed there, I thought that I was able to, process that well, and I thought that was a good expenditure.
Brad, what?
So this email that Don sent?
Yeah.
This will be done at no cost to the town of Brookfield.
The-
Survey.
The surveying and the signs?
Oh, I don't know.
Because there's surveying and there's permanent marking. And so if you found someone to do the surveying, it's like, great,
You're going to try to call them?
yeah, check with them. Because that's advertised. I mean, my thought is, if we really wanted to make this happen, we could probably find some money in the budget, in the free cash allocations to make this work. I mean, if nothing else, just shifting a little bit of money out of the tree work and over to, in my current calculations, would give us enough free cash to then contemplate to allow us to bring the pumps back in. It would leave us very little after that. We'd have very little margin.
Yeah.
And it's like very, very tight. But it's like, if that's what it is, that's what it is.
Yeah, so if somebody wants them. So,
That usually comes to these meetings.
Right, it went right to the first one.
Okay. That's probably because he's got something to do.
okay, so I'm gonna, I don't know if this is the shared one or not, but I fixed it on one copy and then, now it's up there.
So you were saying even if you did, 50 rather than 55, that might be enough to swing it or something.
Yeah, because it's like, without the, my calculations show that without the fuel system, we would have $37,915 of free cash unallocated that would just roll over to next year. So $5,000 would push that to 42 and change, which would then give us enough to put the fuel system in and leave us with almost $3,000 of as very thin cushion.
But that's all you really need. I mean, really usually you wanna leave like 5 to 15, but
Yeah.
it
And,
doesn't really matter.
yeah, and my thinking is that I think right now we more need to decide what's in the boat and what's out of the boat. And if we want to shift the numbers, the lawyers don't need to review us shifting the numbers. They just need to review the verbiage.
No, they don't, and that's why I'm always
Tuesday.
advocating
Yeah.
for,
I'll let,
the
we'll
generic
make that
language
point on the
in
other
all
one.
of the
Yeah,
articles.
with the money in the description, not in the official article text itself.
Correct.
No, I'm behind that.
Okay, let me just.
And then maybe
So-
I'll look-
And what's the,
It's gonna be 42,
so I get that we have $12,000 remaining in free
based
cash.
on the
after,
So I just,
after putting the,
Yes, so
fuel-
it's really-
fuel pump back in.
That's fine.
oh, no.
I know, yeah.
Would get us,
Because they're gonna do
Okay,
it
what's your starting
Actually,
point? Five
yeah.
forty-four, 490?
If you
Yeah, 544,
feel
490.
it's worth it.
And
Yeah.
library, 25,000, line painting at 10,
yeah,
the backhoe is 179.
but it's under borrow,
Right, and then road construction, 25.
yeah.
So he
Gravel,
actually emailed
oh.
us, Gary emailed about the backhoe
Mhm.
to Mark. He didn't include the rest of your board.
Oh.
Should I forward it over? to
Yeah,
them?
send it to him.
It was
so-
actually today.
So, gravel,
Oh, there's
private
another
roads on 3,000.
Okay, I didn't see that.
OPEB at 50,000. Roof stabilization came out of free cash, that was 75,000. Green Street, 54,000. Tree work is currently 55. Thermal imaging, 11,000. protective clothing for the firefighters, $25,000, air compressor, $82,000, elevators, $76,000, fire alarm, for town hall, $80,000, skipping the system, flower beds, $575,000, roller rink, $8,000, and survey markers, $2,000.
Okay, so that leaves us 37,915.
37,915 is 904 also.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so our numbers are in alignment. And so what I would like to do, or what I'd like us to consider doing, is to reduce, for now, we're reducing tree work to $50,000. Let's, as a placeholder, put the fuel system back on, and we ask Gary and Pete to come in next week and talk to us about this.
Did you guys see the email from today?
No,
Okay.
I have, if it came in after 2 o'clock, I
It
have not
came
seen
in
it.
at 12:34.
Okay. Well, did it go to me?
No, it didn't actually.
Well, then I guess that's why I didn't see it, Brad.
That's why you guys didn't see it. It only went to me and Marty
Did you get
for
the
some
letter I didn't
reason.
send to you?
Okay.
Well, I know, Brad, I didn't.
Is it relative to the budget?
Yeah,
Okay, so would you mind sharing it?
yeah. I just assumed it went to everyone.
But my thinking is that
Which Marty probably assumed it went to
and
everyone.
we can, thinking ahead, we can send the warrant to the lawyer for review with the fuel pump article in it. And if we decide we don't want to do it, we just pull it out. And if we decide to do it, it's in what's been reviewed by the lawyer. And it gives us the flexibility to include it going forward with the option to pull it out if we, at a later date, decide, yeah, we don't want to do this. Just given what Highway's saying is the urgency they share, I don't want to go forward and lose the opportunity to put it back in.
This is actually more about the fuel system.
It's about the fuel system.
Right, that's what I discussed.
But in the email below is the information about the background.
The other question, if I may speak, what we had originally heard when we had the presentation from Gary was that he was gonna ask for a net number, but then he asked, there's 2 articles, one is for the trade-in value, and then there's the other one for the actual purchase price. So I was wondering why there wasn't just going for the net value rather than having to do you have to authorize the sale of the trade-in to the dealer? Is that how it works?
I would say separate articles make sense because you want to authorize the full purchase price because you don't know how much you're going to get on trade-in. Unless you are positive and there's a solid market for trade-in and very liquid and you know what you're going to get.
Well,
But
that's part of,
otherwise, if you ask for net and you don't get enough in trade-in, you don't have enough money to buy.
well, it's in the contract, it said we'll give you the trade-in, we'll buy it from you for the 24,000 or whatever it is, and it was just a question.
So
that
he
came up
already
in-
has a contract offer that he can just execute on with the.
Well, was it an invoice or?
Well, yeah, and so here's the thing, you can't, you can't guarantee what the net's gonna be. So all of the articles would be not to exceed if they don't spend the full amount. So you've got a lot bigger problem if you're $10,000 short on like a purchase price for a piece of equipment than if you're $10,000 over. If you're $10,000 over on a warrant article, all that happens is that when you sweep the accounts the next year, it comes back to you. And actually, with the article counts, you have to vote it back out again, or vote it into another. You have to vote it into anything that was voted as a town meeting article. The only way you can get the residual out is to vote it out of that article.
My understanding was that if the article had completed, if the purpose of the article had been completed, it could be automatically swept. Like if the article was purchased a piece of equipment, once equipment's bought, leftover money goes
I've
out.
heard it both ways.
I mean, and I know we don't vote a lot of articles out of existence.
We used to. We may have gotten out of that habit. I think Lori looked into the gas fee and it allows them to sweep if it's truly residual,
Mhm.
right?
My question was just more from a technical purpose, why were there two warrant articles, whether just one for the net, but that answers it, so.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
I have a lot of inquiring minds on the committee, so.
And they forwarded to the YouTube video. Or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
No, it's just, I mean, I'm sure all of you have shared the same situation. I was like, if you don't have an answer to a question on something that's being, everyone gets a negative thing, so well, let's try to chop it.
Yeah,
And it's just, unless I have the information in advance, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I can't nip it in the bud, so to speak.
We're gonna be lucky to get scrap metal rate on that.
Scrap metal ain't cheap.
Well, I mean,
It's gonna get worse, it's gonna
this
get
is already
worse.
getting 24,000 for it, it's gotta be worth something. I don't know. Maybe the engine's worth something,
They are.
if it's low mileage, or lower mileage. Okay, does that help with the warrants?
That does help with the warrants. I think that, for the board action, do we want to make the changes that I suggested in order to get the fuel system back on, especially in light of the email we just received, that Gary just shared, saying that Gary felt that was the priority.
Yeah,
And then we talked, and my thought is we were talking about it next week.
it sounds like if they think we have a problem, then it's worth 40. So, and I guess the challenge I have with it is I don't think our entire fuel budget in a year is 40,000. So, I mean, we can talk about department accountability all we want to.
Right.
It is.
But-
But spending
but unless-
$55,000 is what we budget.
Oh, okay, well, it's gone up then. But I guess my point is,
Oh, I can see you.
right, so unless we think something like 10% of our fuel is disappearing for
Yeah.
non-town purposes,
Yeah.
right? Which is, and if we think we
Well,
have
if we get the
shrinkage,
cameras going down there, we'll be able to see.
you know, it might be that the cameras would be adequate versus the other, but I mean, that's my only point.
No, and that's why I suggested that we put it on for now, and then we bring Gary and Pete in next week
Yeah.
to understand this in more detail. to make a final
I
decision.
have no problem putting it on there. I don't even have a problem if we have to get it to press sooner rather than later, recommending it, and then potentially just being warned that I may speak against it. I'll warn you, unlike other historic select board members, that I may wind up voting for it tonight and speaking against it on the town hall.
My expectation, my hope is that we would have that all settled out ahead of the printing of the warrant book. And that, but if new information comes after the warrant's printed, you do what you need to do.
But if we wanna put it on there, but yeah, at $55,000 worth of fuel a year and a $40,000 system to keep track, it doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense.
Well, yes, my understanding is that it's a complete fuel
At least
system.
this year.
And I think my understanding, we'll let Gary and Pete talk to it.
Yep.
It's like,
Absolutely.
I think there is some value. Is there $40,000 worth of value? I don't know. Is it going to come in? Are they budgeting $40,000 because they want to make sure they have enough, or is it budgeting $40,000 because it's a $38,000 project and they're asking for as little extra as possible?
Yeah.
All things they can tell us in a week.
Okay.
All right. So I'll take a motion. I'll take a motion to restore the highways request for fuel system to the warrant and to adjust the tree work warrant article to $50,000 free cash ask in order.
You have that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion, or have we beat this one to death? All right. Seeing as there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye.
That
Thank
was
you.
like seeing The Walking Dead after that.
All right, so Karen, you're gonna have to find the text of that article from an earlier version and put it back.
Yeah,
in.
I'll put it back in, yep.
Thank you. And other than that, I think that the the gaps between advisory and the select board are known, they're respected, and I don't know that we need any further information. I don't know, any further discussion on this, Jeff?
On the warrants, no.
On the warrants? Okay, excellent.
When the budget
All right, so
goes
that
in,
means that, so logically, the warrant needs to go to the lawyer, the sooner the better. Do we need to, Beth, you have more experience with this than me, so I will, ask for your thoughts on the matter. Do we need to, what do we need to do? Are we ready to send it to the lawyers? Or do we need to review this instead?
Let's just do one quick run through on the wall
Okay.
before we send it over to them. So,
All right, can
So-
may I ask if it's like, if we're not going to be looking at the money articles, can we shift to the budget first and come back to this just so that we're not doing it when Jeff and Sarah sitting around?
absolutely. In fact, what I can do is, if you don't mind multitasking, I will read through it while we're doing budget stuff, and pop my head up like a gopher when it's something I care about. And then,
I'm good with that, I was gonna say, I've been steeping myself in the operating budget. So, all right, so. I'm thinking that the best way to approach this is, on an exception basis, and just, we say, because I know that, Sarah, you shared your numbers with me,
Yes.
I put them in my spreadsheet. I will say that the select board has not made its recommendations yet. So, Beth, can I get your attention for a moment? Is that, what I have done is we have the requested amounts. The departments have requested salary increases.
all over the board.
All over the board. And what I have done is I have prepared a set of numbers with a 4% COLA for all the departments.
Really?
Yes.
We can do that?
We can recommend that, yes.
No, but say it works at 4%.
Well, we'll need to talk about it.
Oh,
But it's like, but my thought is for the
I
discussion,
need to look at the math, but.
yes,
Right.
but it works in my math and it works in reality. And so actually we should talk about that first. But the intention is to use that as the starting point for our discussion. And then from there, discuss variances with them. But I want to make sure that because the board has stated a target of 4%, and so that's why I picked 4% to go with, because that was our stated target. I will need to scrub the numbers again, so I may reserve, like next week we may come back and say, yeah, we gotta revisit a couple numbers due to math errors or I missed something, but I think we're gonna be pretty close on most of them. And from there, we can, the advisory is recommending a 3.2% COLA, and so there will be a gap between our recommended numbers due to that. But if that's the only gap we have, then we're pretty close to being in alignment. We're aligned in spirit, not in fact.
Okay, so they're saying 3.5 and we're saying 4?
They're saying 3.2.
3.2.
we're saying COLA, which, again, I think it was 3.24, but we said 3.2.
Right.
And then you guys.
And we
selected-
were going 4 because of the fact that the year that COLA was 8.9%.
We were-
We did
So
like,
this-
I think it starts to catch on.
Yeah, that was our rationale.
So, again, if I might, can I make one small editorial comment just for the other two, or no? Or should I?
Go ahead, Jeff, you want to set the stage before we dig into the big picture? Go ahead.
Yes, so the reason why we're a little bit verklempt, or whatever the word is because the 2 years running and the previous town, whatever, Kelly, did not disregarded direct instructions for the department heads not to put in their percentage increases, just put it down at the bottom with whatever it is. If it's 6 or 7%, fine, but don't mess with the numbers. So each department came in with a different set of numbers. She said, basically, just put in whatever you think you should get. So I don't disagree with that, but from a logistics, Excel, whatever finance standpoint, it makes everything crazy. So what's happened, and then she locked the spreadsheet, only gave us one column. So what we've had to do since her departure is for Sarah to recreate Kelly's template, taking the 24 numbers, all of the department worksheets that we have and then taking out whatever was put in and then putting in our 3.2%. And that's when I talked to you, Beth, 2 weeks ago and said this is gonna be whatever. And then between the two of you, Tom decided to go ahead and do it. We're trying to reconcile everything. There's been a lot of formulaic goofs and other things which we've caught some of them, we've caught most of them, I hope. So we shouldn't be that far off. I think we might be $40,000 or $50,000 off from what you with your 4% and us with our 3.2. And the only major debate or whatever was, where's the levy limit? We basically got that number from Lori after we asked Lori for revision of what Kelly had given us. And basically, we decided that the legal services or legal fees should be held constant. If there weren't any overages, we had the reserve fund next year. We were so close to the levy limit, we're less than 100,000, could be even 30 or 20, we don't know exactly yet. So that's why we made that one change to what the departments, or we recommend that one change to the department's budgets aside from the COLA. And that basically was the only thing that we're, I think, in difference with that.
Okay, so it's basically the legal fees and the COLA.
Right, I mean, there's a couple of other ones that I mentioned
Yeah.
to Tom in passing, but again, I'm still not confident enough of all our formulas and everything else to say that there might not be some other issue, but I think we're pretty close.
One thing we do need to check is the highway supers pay, because I think that the original budget was gonna be a little lower than what we voted.
Correct.
Yeah, I think so, and we can adjust that, and then, but I will
Yes,
co-sign the advisory committee's frustration on being provided numbers that don't include a non-COLA number. I have no problem with the departments saying what they would like for COLA, but from a budget management standpoint and just making it easy to say, if we did this COLA, what would it look like for everyone? Having all the departments say, if we didn't get any COLA, this is what we'd ask for. It's like we need, and this would reflect additional hours and or any merit increases they feel that people need. It's like, go ahead and put that in your increase, but then give me the COLA on top of that as a separate number, because then I can take that, and we can take that non-COLA number and gain and do the scenarios for, well, what would it look like if we did 3% COLA? What about 5? What about 12? Things like that. And it just, because otherwise, if they only give us a number with COLA baked in, we have to figure out what it is and back it
Well,
up.
originally, and apparently we didn't enforce it, but originally, what was sent out to the department heads, that it sounds like they failed to comply with, was they were supposed to build pay budgets that included the prior year adjustments that were performance or change in hours based, and their COLA all split out separately.
Mhm.
So it sounds like that did not occur.
No, it sounds like it didn't.
Okay, so
I didn't get
it
what
wasn't
it said.
supposed to go on the spreadsheet, they were supposed to submit separate pay sheets. You can go back
And
to the
no,
minutes.
But they did something like that in an initial pass, but then when Kelly's template came in, plus with the department sheets, they put in their,
Something different than what they.
in
put
their
on the
COLA
sheet.
into the final numbers.
All right.
So we had to deconstruct, and then that's where maybe there's some,
Get
So
confused.
I think we
we'll
also
have to do it better next year.
I think we also have to worry about getting too razor thin, because if the police thing ends up going through, and then we have to vote on that.
Police is, it depends on the, I have a question. Do you expect
I have heard nothing.
okay, do you expect that we will exit arbitration before annual town meeting?
With the rate this is going, no.
Okay, then I discussed the situation with Lori. Lori has recommended that we budget fiscal year 25 what we think reasonable and prudent. Any shortfall, when the contract is finalized, and it comes due paying the back wages for the contract year, fiscal year 24, and as much as 25 has gone through, it's a wages account, you can spend it. And if it's a big gap, we can call a special town meeting to adjust the budget. If it's not a big gap, we can use, basically we can transfer money from other parts of the budget And
So it will affect us getting.
it will not hit the levy limit. Instead, it will reduce the free cash after we close fiscal year 25.
So,
And so, I mean, we're going to have to pay it one way or the other, but this year, it doesn't hit the tax rate. It's like, especially, and I don't want the back pay for fiscal year 24 to hit this year's tax rate. So this makes perfect sense to me. Now, my thinking is we should probably try and get a 7 or 8% raise in there, or we can talk about it, but get the budget line for fiscal year 25 close to what we expected it's going to cost. They are going to cost us this year, because I want to make sure that we're paying for it, that if we need to pay for it, it should be in the budget. But for fiscal year 24, we would probably pay that with free cash anyway. This is just a different way of getting it into free cash. And by impairing future free cash, rather than having to set aside current free cash for that, or just crunching the money, having nothing left at the end of the year because all the surplus accounts had to pay that wages deficit.
it just specifically, see if you heard anything.
Okay. So I talked to Lori about this, and that was her recommendation. I had different. She said, no, do it this way. And I said, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that gets it. But that does make it incumbent on us to look at the wages number for the patrolman and make sure we put in a good number for fiscal year 25.
Okay, so
Yes,
just two things. One, we did take your, Beth's recommendation about the 5% for the
For the police.
right, so that is in our numbers.
Yeah, I was gonna say
That'll
that.
get us at least in the ballpark.
Yeah, so I added 5% to their wages when he did it instead of COLA, just to get an idea of what their wages would be.
Mhm.
I just had one question about one of the line items for the police. It says police part-time and overtime. My only question was, would I be adding the 5% to that also?
Yes,
Okay.
because
And I did, I just wanted to make sure that was
yes,
right.
because what it is that was for paying part-time officers and the full-time officers overtime. Effectively, we no longer have part-time officers,
Yes.
but we haven't changed the name because it still gives flexibility.
Okay.
And since their base pay is going up by whatever amount, the overtime, if they won't say on overtime, we will need that 5% or 10%, whatever percent more in the overtime kind also, so you would rate to increase it.
Okay, perfect.
So
Thank you.
Lee just texted me, he said, what he heard is there's 2 towns ahead of us, but he doesn't think it's gonna be that much longer.
Okay.
So just again,
Not that much longer, still might be.
Yeah, at this phase, not much longer is June.
Yeah, it's June or July.
I think
This
he's
is
as frustrated as we are.
They asked for it. I'm sorry, they requested arbitration. Allow me to be clear on that one. They are the ones who requested arbitration.
so
I thought we were close.
just one other point, sorry for the background, but just to give you an idea, Lori's calculated levy limit was 10,574,918. Our latest budget, which includes the legal expense decrease or holding constant, was at 10,549,788. So we're within like 40,000, and then Tom was still working on the numbers for the original. So I think we're a little closer than I thought, but we're.
One clarification, that number Jeff gave is the operating budget consistent with not reaching the levy limit. Our levy limit is around 6 million. The operating budget is tax levy plus state aid plus local revenues, which it adds up to that $10 million listed. But the levy limit is distinct and is a part of that. About
Yeah.
60-65%.
Yeah, but
So
really,
so just,
what we're
that's-
talking about is functionally what we're talking about is what can we spend without requiring an override of exclusion.
But you know, there's someone who's watching this that's going to say they don't understand the budget if we don't make sure that we're aware of that.
Okay,
And I wanna
it was
show
just, I was throwing, the 100,000 number around, it's less than that, so I just wanted to clarify that as you're doing your reports.
And so, just big picture wise, with a 4% presumed COLA, which is our target, that has an operating budget of, the current calculation is $10,511,000 and less than $5.
And what was it?
Hold on.
Or total available. You know-
This year, okay.
Well, I hate to put it this way, I mean, the person that taught me about, like, when I first went on the finance, or the advisory committee, they, and granted the budget was smaller then.
Mhm.
But back in the day, seventies, eighties, they targeted me within $50,000 of the levy.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we're 65,000 away, granted it's a bigger budget, so it's less.
Percentage.
I'm still not, I'm not freaked out about it, right? We're not over, we're technically within our means. Typically, the funds fall out better. We're always very conservative about our local receipts. And just like the, and like many things, 10% of our local receipts today, which is what we tend to underestimate our local receipts at, right? We only estimate our local receipts at about 90% of what we're expecting to actually take in. 90% today is a lot more than 90% 30 years ago when people would be moving 50,000 away from your spending limit. Let's call it spending limit instead of levy limit because it's the levy plus all those other things. That's a healthy place to be, right? It means we're spending the money on the things we need to spend the money on, but we're not going outside of our means, we're not asking for an override, we're not asking for an exclusion.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was very concerned 6 weeks ago when,
We thought it was over.
when we were 100,000 over.
Yeah, but
but-
50 under is a good place to be, 65,000 under is a good place to be, that's
I
kind of.
lost sleep for a night over that and then I recovered, so.
I knew somewhere someone had done math wrong if we were 100 days.
Well, I mean, you have more years in this situation than I do, but,
One challenge is that the numbers I received from Lori did not put a safety factor into local receipts.
They always have a safety factor in those machines. She just didn't tell you.
She put the number that's in there is the number that is in our tax recap, and they don't put the safety number in tax recap, they put the actual local, expected local receipts.
No,
Oh.
that's a projected number that's 90%
You're right.
of what
You're
they
right. You're
received the year prior.
You're right.
Sorry.
Bang the table, Beth, I know you wanna bang the table. Okay, I will, I think on consideration, I see your point and I will defer to it. So, it's like, I will double check offline just to assuage my concern.
Double check offline to assuage your concern. There's not an accountant in this state that puts 100% of their expected local receipts in that tax recap.
And, great, thank you for the reminder, that's what I need to see, so we're keeping that, yes, Jeff?
I have two other questions. I'm not trying to direct the conversation, but I'm trying to get out of here at a certain point too. So, on the publication of the warrant report, the advisory committee used to do it. Kelly took it over. Is it going to stay with one of you individuals at some point? You have the printing information from Tom now?
I had contacted a printer, I did get some
Okay.
quotes.
All right. So we're okay, and we shouldn't have a problem this
If you-
year.
Well, last year, I reached out to the printer and did it, and as you see, he did a little cockeyed, so we're not gonna go probably with that printer, but yes, this select board
Okay,
office
so
was
I'm
gonna
not
take
going to
care
put
of it.
that on the checklist for us this year, just.
Not for
okay,
printing,
good.
no.
So as far as what I'd like to do with these numbers, Tuesday, we're going to get together and continue to, whatever you scrub them, I guess is the word.
Mhm.
Because I would like to be able to put, one number in each one of these lines with Kelly's original spreadsheet where it says advisory committee.
Mhm.
Okay? And then have you send it to whatever. So, I would like to know at some point, do we need an official group of the advisory committee to meet with you again to go over any final resolution, or we'll determine that tonight whether or not we need to have another meeting? Is that basically what you're?
I would say that if advisory controls the numbers that the advisory recommends, and so therefore, if you are comfortable saying these are our recommendations, and we And if you wanna talk about them, that's fine, we don't see need to talk about them, then you send them over, and if we wanna talk to you about them, we'll set up a meeting. Conversely, if we're getting up and saying, we would like to talk to the select board before we make our final recommendations, then we'll set up a joint meeting and we will talk. So it's one of those, my thought is, if either party wants to talk, we'll talk. But if you're good with the numbers and we're good with the numbers, we just put the numbers in.
Okay, because I'm trying to figure out, when does it have to go? It has to go 2 weeks before the town meeting, and then you want to finalize things in the next 2 weeks, right? Because that's why we had this meeting tonight.
The warrant book needs to be posted, or the warrant needs to be posted beforehand. I believe it doesn't have to be the book, but generally it is. And that has to be done 2 weeks before the town meeting. Town meeting's on the 6th, and so that means it's the 25th. That means on or about the 18th of May, the printing has to be done, and the book has to be, copies of the book have to be put out in town
So
hall.
we need about 2 weeks.
And I would say, Karen, 2 weeks, if we want the book locked down 2 weeks before, we want to target 2 weeks before it needs to be printed and distributed.
Yep. I just
Okay.
So we're looking
So-
at basically April 30th.
So I'm
or-
going to need, when
So
is
that
it
would
gonna be
May
ready? When do you think
Which
it'll be
is
finalized?
not the right date.
I'm sorry?
No, I was just asking when it's gonna be finalized so I can send it to the printer. I didn't know.
So we're basically looking at April, to give us some wiggle room, April 30th. So if there's some drastic change,
May 9th.
Are we going through any of these?
May
items?
May 9th is 2 weeks before May 20th, is 4 weeks before town meeting. So I would say, it's like the numbers have to be finalized, which means if there's any discussion, the discussion has to be finished by that day. Not just sending the numbers over and saying, now we
Right.
discussed it. And that is a Thursday, it's out of cycle, and so if we needed that day to lock things down, it's not the worst day of the week to do it.
all right. But I mean, our objective will be to get everything scrubbed by
Yes,
next
but
week
that-
and
that
send
is-
you over, our recommendations, and then with the final, we haven't voted on the warrant articles, but we'll vote on those and then send them over to everyone. I guess.
Yeah. Make sure to include Karen, 'cause she's the one who's.
Yes.
Yes,
Very-
with your recommendations.
And that is,
right.
May 9th is 3 weeks from today. And so the select board is scheduled to meet in open session 2 weeks from today. So if there's not a lot to discuss, we could aim to squeeze it in then. If there's a lot to
3
discuss,
weeks, remember the, yes, what day?
the 9th.
The night, that's,
We need the budget closed so that so that the book can be finalized and sent to the printer and printed.
right, but the select board meeting you're talking about is what date? I'm sorry.
May 2nd. May 2nd is our next open session.
May 2nd.
And so, if there's not a lot that needs to be talked about, we could squeeze it in then. If there's a lot to talk about, maybe we can squeeze it in, maybe we need another day.
Okay, so then sorry to sort of, all these questions coming out, but, the next question is, last 2 years, we've had a presentation of the preliminary budget by the town administrator. Will you continue that tradition, or wait till next year to do it, or will you have a town administrator here for a year?
You have anticipated my question. I am in favor of continuing the budget presentations to the town.
I like to do it. I don't know if I want to, are you volunteering?
I am. Should I still be a member of the board? Because that is after my.
Right, and my only thought there is that, we've been arguing, not saying, we've been promoting that for as long as I've been on the advisory committee, as just for transparency and just communication and everything else.
Tom, if you get voted off, I'll back it up.
Okay.
Right, but, so, I think I tried to talk to Kelly last year, I said, well, if 6 people show up, that's not really doing well, so we have to have, Mike Siri put a blast out, or use the cable station or whatever, so we get more than 6 people, so that people understand what's.
I think we have money left, and I'd be interested to see if we have left in the select board budget that we could just do a postcard mail in.
I was thinking a postcard.
Yeah.
Just letting
Just
people
a bulk
know about it.
postcard,
Yeah.
just a bulk postcard that says, a budget meeting.
Yeah, we, the advisory committee participated the last 2 years, we didn't say anything, but, we were the majority of the people there. I think, Mr. Holcroft was there was, I think, Kermit And
I
there
don't
was
think it was long enough.
Bruce,
No, I think you missed
Bruce
the
Clark, I think, was there, but there weren't that many
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, but I think a postcard, bulk postcard to every household is pretty cheap.
Well, we can, I think that, it is, we can discuss that, we can discuss exactly how we wanna get the notification out at another time.
Sure.
Is that,
I just raised the issue because I'm just going through the thought process from how it occurred last year.
Yeah.
And, so. who knows again.
that was, I forgot what I was doing, but I discovered several chart types that was just like, ooh. Sunburst,
Requested for this.
sunburst charts, waterfall charts. And so, all right, so big picture, just coming back to that. Unfortunately, this is Kelly's logic is not. Board's logic is not.
So, when you picked up that formula problem with.
So is there a reason why, even though I've requested year after year after year to not put sums unless they're required by law in articles, we still have articles all over this warrant that have sums in the article?
You mean in the actual motion article text?
In the actual article text, when it should be in the motion.
No, but let's address that now.
Yeah. And let me just give you an example. So
people don't get hung up on the number.
yeah, well, that where it ties your hands and something's
Right.
screwing that. So, and let me just start from the beginning and then go forward. I know you want to talk operational budget, but so I mean, Article 4 is safe. The water department wants to put $40,000 in the article. I don't want to fight with them about it. Ambulance receipts, transfers, I prefer some money there and just have the sum be in the motion. Because I actually want to talk to Donna about the fact if we have, so first of all, Article 7, it says needs a sum certain. No, it doesn't. Just Article 7 needs to be, we'll vote to transfer a sum of money from ambulance receipt reserve to cover the deficit for fiscal year 2024 wages account. To take any action there too. And then we can use whatever sum we have at town meeting. So it makes no sense to be holding that text for a sum certain when we can just put the generic language in there. I'd like to take the sum certains out of the other two ambulance articles, if Donna's okay with that. Because if we have a wages deficit this year, I know they probably went over this information with advisory, even though it's like silly because of the fact that they're self-funding and they're doing it from their reserve receipt fund. So it doesn't impact the tax rates. I don't know why you even fight over it, right? But let's just make sure with there that they don't have to have a second article for deficit spending next year, because that doesn't make no sense.
Right. If
Right.
it looks like they're gonna need more money for next year because of their issue with the clawbacks,
Right,
is that we funded enough so that it just goes smoothly.
right, exactly.
It's, and you're right, putting more money in doesn't affect the tax rate, it just takes more money out of the money that they earn for the service they provide the town.
Right, so those I noticed. Article 13, somebody put a note, borrowing only for the select board vote. No, the select board vote was, we're not gonna necessarily allocate free cash against it, okay? It doesn't change the motion, what it changes our recommendation for funding, which if the town decides not to listen to us and make the, and we're gonna make the motion as a borrow, okay? Either the town votes it down, somebody can amend it on the floor, but we don't have to, just because we voted where that funding was gonna come from, doesn't mean that we put borrowing only.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was just basically a note,
Okay,
like, obviously it wasn't gonna go on the,
right. Well,
warrant
it's not necessarily obvious, because when I see that language and then I
Okay,
see that
gotcha.
note, what my
Okay.
assumption is if someone intends on changing the language in the warrant article to be borrowed.
No, okay, no.
I think that is not advisable for us to do.
I think
So-
we need to be careful of what we put into that in the article text section versus in the notes section.
Right,
The
so,
article text section should be kept clean to be clear what
right.
we're planning to motion.
There's all kinds of weird markups on here about using the 350th money, but we haven't talked, I haven't seen what the balance is that's left, or is it only?
No, we haven't,
report?
it hasn't been closed out either, and I gotta talk to Shelby, she's got checks that came in and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, and this stuff is all over the place right now, so.
And that should just be,
And again,
that should be left blank.
Well, first of all, yeah, and it's on here in like a bunch of weird ways, and I don't know, did Kelly put this on?
Yes,
Okay, so she was.
her initials are there.
Well, right, but Article 33, I don't see any initials on it, I don't know who put it in.
Oh,
So-
I don't know, I didn't do that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so
The
Article
only thing I
33
changed was with the highlighting is, and I numbered them.
Okay,
Everything else came from Kelly.
okay, so it looks like we've got a bunch of, and it looks like we've got a bunch of them relative to that have all kinds of weird, like, exact values in there.
Is that when they're consolidating money from various articles to the fire station repair?
Well, that one's, the way it's phrased is actually, that's the only one I don't object to, because it was, those balances, it's appropriate to have those balances in, because it's specifically a transfer.
Yeah, that makes
We've got
sense.
balances on that, so that one I didn't take any umbrage to, it's just, stuff like, where was it? There's a couple in here that was, it's Article 33, and it's like blank, it just says, be allocated to another project, and it has a very exact number. So,
I think that's intended to, from what I remember, that discussion was that we had the money left over, and the idea was that we would identify a worthy local cause to donate that money to, because I don't think we can, I think my recollection is, and this is a little vague, is that we couldn't sweep it into there. Well, these are donations, so we can't sweep them into the town accounts, and so I think the recommendation was, we're done with 350, if we have this leftover money that was donated, let's give it to a food
Okay.
pantry or this group or that.
so that's donated funds.
Right. And
All
so
right.
I think the amount, that specific amount there is appropriate because we're dealing with a specific amount
Oh,
in Article 33. But for that, we would need to identify a recipient for the money that we consider appropriate. Or some other use.
Why wouldn't we do something like the cemetery perpetuity fund or something like that? Something that's, or those funds could go to the maintenance of the previously donated signs to the town.
I had talked to Gene, and this is a while back, about having it go to like, because it is a charity, the town hall, whatever the,
The committee with the charity,
no, the,
Friends of Brookfield.
yes,
Okay.
because they can use, that money can be used for any improvements to the town hall.
Right. Or we could give it to Friends of the Library, given how much money they've invested in
Yeah,
18 Common Street.
Yeah, I think either one of those two
Or
uses
split
is.
it between the two of them,
Yeah.
because they're both, kind of partners and making it kind of better.
yeah,
And I think those uses of the money would be in spirit of
But it's
people who donated 350.
is the Friends of the Library qualified 501c3? I don't believe so.
They may be.
They are a private group, and if they're fundraising, I would suspect they are, but we should
I
verify.
think there was questions about
Okay,
that.
let's add.
Whereas I know the
I
town
know
hall
the
one
Friends-
is legit.
Yeah, I know he did all the paperwork.
Yeah,
So. Okay. So instead of allocated to a project, I think that the verbiage in that article needs to be donated to,
I think, specific donation targets
Yeah,
is that, and we can discuss that now, we can discuss that.
Well, and that's the three, is that from the 350th
Yeah.
committee?
Fund 152, 350 donations.
So I could talk to that committee and see if they wanna have any recommendation where it goes, or does
Yeah.
that matter? or not?
we're certainly open to their recommendation. And, yeah, so, but,
For Article 34,
uh,
that's leftover warrant article money. I think that should be swept into free cash or allocated to another article.
well, my thought would be,
That's
how much was the key card thing that we took off for this town hall?
We didn't have an amount for it. That was one of the
We
reasons we took it off, was
never
because
got
we were
an
too late.
estimate on it.
I talked to Bill Simpson Jr. and he has started looking into it. I don't know if anything will come along in time for us to include it in the project. Include it in the warrant for this year's town meeting. Be nice to get it in, I just don't see it being in a position to push it over the line.
Okay,
Oh, so there's a difference between these two.
yeah, there's two
Yeah.
separate things. One is the town meeting vote, and the other one is, the donated fund.
Right, right.
So,
To my mind, Article 34 is $16,000 that we can
Yeah, no.
put to use, whether that's rolling over to next year's free cash or funding
I
something
wouldn't
this
put it into free cash, I would either reallocate it either into OPEB
Mhm.
or,
There might be rules on that, because I remember,
That's warrant article money. That's money that was
Oh, right,
allocated
right,
to
right,
taxpayers.
yeah, the
Yeah,
donated
okay.
money, the
Okay,
donated
okay.
money definitely has rules on it.
Right.
And we probably should check, but I don't believe that the town, the ATM vote money would have any limitations on it.
okay.
I don't think,
Mm-hmm.
but it's probably worth checking for.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that one we can just reallocate. But it's too much money to just sweep.
Right.
I think there are rules about how much you can kind of just sweep and roll with the free cash.
Really?
I think that from one article.
Well, to my mind, if the warrant article has served its purpose, then it makes sense to dissolve it, and if you don't
Well,
have.
the
use for it,
accountant
then-
obviously wanted us to vote it, because it was sponsored by the accountant.
Could be, maybe she entertains reallocating the free cash. I think because it's enough money, she wants us to affirmatively close the account.
No, I think it's because she wanted to defray the strain on free cash.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
So I think what she was recommending is we should use it for something like, and honestly, I think that fundamentally, right, that would cover like the fire thermal imaging device and the flyers
Mm-hmm.
and, or let's see, 3,000 or 12,000. So we could do the thermal imaging device and the gravel for private roads.
No one has expended, the gravel for private roads has not been expended. We haven't spent any of that money.
No,
So my inclination is, why put more money in if we have?
Well, I think we go back to the dollar because we still have the.
Yeah, I did talk to Gary about that, and he said, I think he said to leave it in there because they need to use it,
Yes,
they still need to do it.
we still need to do the work.
Okay, but no one's done that, but there's no work to do because the use of that money required an affirmative vote by the select board to authorize the use of those resources. No one's come to us asking us to use that money. So there
I
should
think
not
he
be
was kind
any
of-
of that.
I'd have to talk to him again, I think he was kind of putting it off until the next superintendent came in to.
Like to forward the request to us?
Right.
Okay,
Because they don't have the bandwidth to do it.
then let's leave it on there for now. We can always take it off, or it's easier to get rid of it later and pass it over.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, I don't understand unless, and this is a question for Lori, since you're mostly driving the budget and the warrant articles, maybe you wanna have a conversation with her, 'cause I don't wanna confuse stuff that's going on between you. But why do we have that as a separate article when, if we have an amount that's in our 350th celebration warrant article, leftovers, we would use the verbiage of transfer, raise appropriate transfer or borrow, and then just do the motions to move it from the 350th account to whatever articles we want to apply it to. That's typically how you would handle that, unless because it's 350th anniversary money, you have to handle it differently, even though it doesn't have.
We can check. I think maybe reallocate to is more of a placeholder, and then once we said things, then she would say, okay, you want to, you want to reallocate that to other warrant articles for the fund? Yeah, that's fine. But until we actually said this is what we want to do with it, she might have left that there, but let's find out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that I don't think that should be on there as a separate article. I think we just need to know the number and then decide which articles to do the transfer.
So instead of pushing the money out of that, in the other warrant articles, we say to be funded by a transfer from this other warrant article account.
Instead of free cash.
Yes, okay,
Yeah, and then what that does is it just leaves your residual free cash higher, which can either roll the next year's free cash, or we could add an article at the end to put, if we think we're gonna have enough to bother to put it in stabilization.
Mhm.
So, one or the other.
That's, okay. I mean, this is $16,000, so the most it's gonna give us after this is close to 20,000,
Close to 20,000.
which, to my mind, I think that's more just below.
It probably is.
At that level, 50,000, I think I'd start to think about stabilization. Because our stabilization accounts are in good shape at the moment. Right?
So is Article 34 coming off?
So we need to check with Lori.
Okay.
The action there is check with Lori and determine whether it's appropriate to even have that article as an article, or really do we just need a number, and then to make a determination about which other articles we're gonna do as transfers from that account rather than as, transfers from free cash.
But fundamentally, that it's one of two things that's gonna happen. Either the money in this account is not sufficient for what we want to do, or we want to fully deplete this account, in which case one of our other warrant accounts is gonna have to be funded with X dollars from the 350th warrant article account, and another amount to free cash. Like it's a $5,000 article, we might pull 2,000 from the left, from 350.
Like honestly, if it was my choice, I would take the $16,000 and throw it in the fleet repair replacement account that we haven't funded in a couple of years, so that if we have something come up on one of our ancient pieces of equipment, that we would be able to do something.
Yep, and fleet repair and replacement is sitting at $38,000, and it shows no expenditure since we appropriated the money in June of 21, which doesn't mean that we can't put money in. We could even put the money in towards, to defray the cost of acquiring the backup.
Correct.
And then that produces.
I mean, that's one of the things that we could do is to.
Why didn't they use that when they were doing the repairs in the truck?
Which one?
The big truck?
I could have sworn we signed, I could have sworn we've authorized a couple of repairs out of there that aren't showing, but maybe my brain is.
Maybe they
Like
didn't,
that.
And it's
or
a
maybe
warrant.
they didn't know to
It's
get
a-
it out of there.
It's a warrant article, so therefore, if they had spent this money in December of 21, it would show as debited against that warrant article.
Right.
And this doesn't, the warrant articles don't just show this year's expenditures. It shows the duration since the creation of the account. Okay, all right, I'll get a note to check with Lori on that.
Yeah.
And I will talk to her, I'll give her a couple scenarios and say, it's like, we're not sure how we want to do it. If we want to do it this way, how does that work?
Yep.
And my thought is, fully allocate this to something else, and how do we use this to fully fund some articles, how do we use it to partly fund articles?
Yep.
And it's just a question of where it's going.
Yeah, and again, 38 and 39, even though I know we're gonna do the 50 and 75, I just would prefer to get the number out of there.
I'm behind that. And then we do have the citizen petitions. I think we've generally not taken a position on those, and we have no say as to whether they go on the warrant, so we just make sure they get put in there.
Yeah.
So,
So I don't see the Arbor Day, article that we said we were gonna put on here.
I don't think we had, I thought we signed an Arbor Day proclamation.
And we also need an article where we adopt the Mass General Law.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, okay, no,
All right, so we'll need to add that in.
Yeah,
okay,
so that needs to go on.
yeah.
I will take a motion to extend the meeting as we are.
Oh, yeah, I'll make a motion to extend the meeting with regret.
All right, all in favor of extending the meeting without much enthusiasm, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, so from a, better work on that, I'm gonna shift over to the, what I call the big picture, which is where we stand in relation to the levy limit.
Okay. Other than that, I think I've covered pretty much everything. I can hand my notes over to Karen, and she can always ask me what my chicken scratch actually means.
So,
I do just have one question.
yes, sir.
At the last selectmen's meeting, I believe, maybe it was 2 ago, there was a question about adding somebody else to the last article. Did we find this out? Because I don't want to say his name, but he's on the last article, on the very last article, and there was a question I got of somebody else.
Oh, yeah, whether,
Yes.
maybe Bill Smith.
Bill Smith, yeah. So did we find this out? Is he getting added? Is
I forgot to ask the chief.
okay.
I meant to. Let me text him while I'm thinking of it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Mhm.
So, at the moment, based on our projected revenue and an operating budget of $10,511,005, rounded to the nearest dollar, we're looking at 63,000, that would bring us below the levy limit by almost $64,000, which is not as close as I would like, and I did not have the time to look at how much the levy is going up. But
So I don't know if are we gonna go through the line items at all,
we will be going through the line items, more on do we need to talk about this, do we need to talk about this?
Okay.
But we will have a chance to talk about all the line items. I will say that the budget that we have proposed is, I spent a good chunk of day working on some, oh, there it is. This year's operating budget is the budget with the 4% COLA brings us in, is an increase of $473,445 over the previous year, which is a significant increase, and it's going to be, it's going to increase the levy. Of that increase, 62% of that increase, if my math is right, is due to the elementary school. They have, we've talked to the elementary school, and they've had a significant increase in special education expenses that they are required by law. So it's not like they're hiring more teachers, it's not like they're getting fancy new equipment with the taxpayer money. It's they have students who need services, and they need to do this.
Okay.
So it's, I'm sure it's going to come up, and I am disinclined to balance, to severely impair the rest of the town in order to mitigate the impact of this increase of the school budget on the tax bills. We can do, the town can do that on the floor, but
Yeah, I don't think we should be punishing the people at this end of Central Street for what's going on at the other end of Central Street.
which is another one, yes, that's That's a very succinct way of saying what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and so we can present it to the town and they.
And I think
make
that's
their
part
decision.
of the public presentation, and then I think we need to have a shortened version of the public presentation at the beginning of town meeting. Let people know where the changes are coming from and help them understand that that's what's driving it, so they don't start fighting over things.
Right, is that, yeah, that's, I agree, there are three big increases in the budget. The selectmen general government is 13% of the increase, assessments is 13% of the increase, and schools is 63% of the increase. Everything else is not.
And most of the stuff in our budget that's an increase is relative to the website services and technology.
And that's what I wanted to talk about.
I was gonna say, technology and legal are the two biggest increases. And then the select board goes up, I think a lot of that is salary is the COLA, because the select board is going up 4%. And I think a lot of the select board is salary for people who work in the town hall. And then treasurer, then a lot of the treasurer, assessor, their costs
I
are.
think we should just piss everybody off and give ourselves 100% pay increase.
Well, I don't know, the recommended numbers I got from Sarah had our selectman salary of $10.
I'm sorry.
It's like, it was not like us. But I talked to the advisor and he said that was a clerical error, and so we sorted that out.
I was saying we weren't with what Nicholas, but that was.
I was wondering if that's what they were trying to tell us.
Oh, just one other point. I have to leave shortly, so,
Yeah.
I know I had some discussion with you individually, but we did give serious consideration to recommending that the treasurer go from a full-time to a part-time and dropping the salary to $50,000. So that was another one of our cost-saving ideas. I know you had mentioned that was difficult for coverage, but I just wanted to throw that out there because that probably would be another $30,000 in savings, in addition to the legal fees that we opted. So it's basically the $50,000 that we felt was more or less only we would have. But we declined doing that, but we would certainly. I had to sort of rein people in because they wanted to do that regardless. I said, well, no, the selectmen haven't changed the position, so we can't do that. But that was a natural progression, just given my experience of seeing how well the Treasury Department is running now and the fact that you could probably do less than 40 hours a week. So that was my last strategic comment. The line items, we have particular ones that, go ahead, as I do have to leave shortly.
No, I've had some discussions also, and that was a matter I was intending to have the board discuss in a, and I thought we could do it in the context here, since we are talking the budget and talk about staffing and force structure. In the context of how do we want to, what do we want to do next year, therefore, because that's going to drive the budget. Leveraging Jeff's, building on what Jeff said is one of the ideas that I've had discussions about is a part-time treasurer and to also have an assistant treasurer / treasurer clerk. The advantage being that in addition to a more cost-effective structure, we now have 2 people capable of running things here. And if one of those people were to leave, we would still have someone here to be able to handle payroll and keep things going so we're not, we gotta make payroll! Because I think we all know what that felt like a couple weeks ago. And so that's something that is of interest to me. And I don't know if that's appealing to the rest of the board and if that's something that we want to. I'm not sure tonight's the right night for it just because we get enough other stuff on our plate. But if we want to discuss it later and then revisit the budget based on that. Or if we wanted to put the budget through like this and then restructure and reallocate the budget after the new year just because of time. Because it's like we gotta get the budget ready and present it. And if we can't figure out what our plan is, doing something you think is good for the town.
We talked to Sharon about how long she could actually service both communities yet, or is it too soon
I
for?
think it's too soon.
I
She
would-
sent an email today where she's,
I would think 3 or 4 weeks, give her 2 pay cycles. The first one is gonna be getting used to things, second one, she'll have a good idea how she's settling in, and then see how she feels May
Do
applies.
we have the position currently posted as full-time?
It's currently posted as full-time, yes.
So, we would need to revise that posting to part-time, and we would also need to,
Well, no, because the hours could potentially be negotiated. We could have it out there as being full-time. Anything over 20 hours is benefited,
Mhm.
right? A reduction in the overall hours would be part of the discussion.
I mean, this is her first week and she's
Well-
at 16, but some of that's because she's learning.
Right, no, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that whether it's her or somebody else, it doesn't change that. When it's posted as full-time, but we negotiate a part-time schedule with the individual taking the role, it doesn't invalidate the current posting.
Mhm.
The only thing we're bound by state law is that we can only post what's in our bylaw in this position. How many hours those positions are is really the select board purview. So,
Yeah, and I think when he's saying part-time,
he's
you're not
meaning like
suggesting
30
less,
hours.
right, yeah,
He's
not,
meaning
right,
like 24
exactly.
to 30 hours.
Right.
not-
Right, I mean, I wouldn't change the dollar per hour when it was calculated, but just reduce.
No, but I think like what Beth
Like
just
30
said,
and 32
you're
hours.
suggesting maybe 30 hours or 25, but not under 19.
No.
Right, right.
No, I'm just somewhere between that 20 and I'd
Right.
say
30.
20, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like 4, yeah, like.
I mean, maybe in
4.
certain weeks, it's more hours because of whatever is going on, an audit or something, but,
Yeah.
and then, in addition, talking, as part of this discussion, the idea of implementing an employee self-service HR system, so that pay stubs are available online,
That'll
onboarding paperwork, and things like that can all be done self-service. It would reduce the load on the treasurer's office for personnel matters, especially the routine personnel matters. Is that something that I was intending to bring to the board's discussion after we got over the budget hump? But that's something that I talked to Sharon and Lori, and they both felt that it was a worthwhile thing to explore.
Okay.
But she's gonna have to on board with that.
All right.
Yeah, but I'm sure Pratt is mostly self-service.
Self-service is the point of no service.
DIY.
Yeah, it's more like DIY. And as a manager, you don't even know which of the 4 ticketing systems you need to put a ticket in when something's messed up. Crazy.
Mm-hmm. But they did say that there was a small cost, but that the operational savings in just the distribution of the pay stubs
Oh, it's huge.
and going to direct deposit would more than offset the cost of this, and that everything else is generally bonus, especially with all the people down the street who are responsible for personnel wise, getting them to self-care.
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
would be great.
and it saves them a trip down here, makes their life easier.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely something to put a little pinhole, put a flag in a future date to discuss.
Stick a pin in it.
Exactly.
I guess the colonialism that you're looking for.
Yes. Right, so, I would say, just looking at big picture, just give me a second to create a formula to look at the variance between the advisory recommendation and the select board with, the 2.4% COLA, so that I can, all right, so now for this discussion. Starting with, I'd like to start with general government. Advisory recommendation is $969,900, and the select board, what the select board is looking at with a 4% COLA is $993. So that is a 2.5% difference select board being higher. So some of that is due to the difference in COLA recommendations. And then we also have, the advisory has recommended, level funding legal, while right now the select board, the recommended budget for the select board had legal going up 20,000. I will say that I am talking to the lawyer more now that Kelly is not available,
And I think if
and
we,
those bills are coming in, and so, and I know I don't know how much we've spent this year, I would say if there's a big surplus, a lot of it is.
but of the three town administrator candidates, none of them have a legal background, so
So they would not be in position.
they're
to-
also gonna be needing to use it.
Yeah, though a lot of them are gonna at least have a much better blade grasp and that's been a lot.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because it's their full-time job.
Yeah, so my thought is that it's like, yeah, we're
Is the
at
link-
60%
is the link-
extent.
Is the link that Kelly sent out still a live link or is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm on.
And so at that point, I am not convinced about lowering that. I understand advisory's position that we do have, it's like, but I guess the issue is, the reserve fund is intended for unexpected expenses, and legal's not unexpected, so, I'm not sure that that's something I'll make a note to ask Lori, because I don't think the reserve fund is intended to backstop an account that was underfunded. If it was underfunded just because we didn't put enough money in, whereas if we could justify something happened, like there was a lawsuit against the town, a lawsuit is unanticipated, and covering the deficit due to a lawsuit that we didn't anticipate, that could be done. But just for routine matters, I'm more leery that would be flagged by Lori or the auditor.
I'm personally find it hard to believe that we could run up $80,000 a year in legal expenses just on routine town business. I mean, there's gotta be, I think, over the years, there's been like a couple of really big, nasty lawsuits that are
But we have a
in
lot
there.
we have a lot of open meeting law, or, not open meeting law. Whatever the requests are.
Oh,
Free-
public record.
Public record requests, and those are hurting.
Those require legal fees to.
Well, a lot of them require redaction
Redactions.
by the legal counsel.
And
And right now, we're getting crushed with them.
And the way that works is if it's $225 for KP to do those redactions, the person only gets billed at $25 an hour.
there's a legally mandated.
So we're soaking up $200 an hour for these.
We need to find out law firm to do a redaction. I mean, that.
Well, Kelly was doing them, and now she's not.
Yeah. And Jeff, I'll tell you, there were a lot of things I would bounce off Kelly that now that she's no longer available, it's like I have to go to Michelle. Ding, 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 ding. Goes the-
And hopefully.
The
if
people
you
that were
town
saying that the
administrator-
town administrator wasn't saving us money and it's just full of crap.
Mhm.
No, I totally agree that we need as long as we're good to have a town administrator.
Mhm.
I mean,
So, and it's like, and we don't have to converge on it. I say that more to declare that is part of the variance between the advisory recommendation and what was recommended for the, on behalf of the select board.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, the select board has not yet made a recommendation on this part of the entire budget.
So for some reason, my link is not the one, does yours have a dial?
Let me see where that is.
Yeah, could you send out the link to the?
No, you should be on the same one on that.
So where did this timing document is?
Yeah, you go to file and then.
No,
options.
he's on the same one.
Are you seeing the advisory numbers in yours? No, you're not looking at the same one I have. I have advisory numbers in mine.
Yeah, so can you share that link out?
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
They haven't been updating the one that we have.
Well, I updated this one. Sarah gave me the numbers I copied and pasted.
Yeah, he copied and pasted that, yeah. Cause I didn't have,
Yeah, this has been on.
Yeah, I created our own spreadsheet, that way we didn't mess with yours.
Well, as I said, we couldn't use hers because it was locked, so we do it.
The only thing is we did not, something for you guys to talk about at a later date, we did not add COLA to the town clerk's salary because the person got the increase last.
Oh, that outrageous increase last year?
What?
You got the outrageous increase
Yeah,
last
so
year?
we did not add COLA to his increase this year, we kept it,
You level funded it?
yes, yep.
I can support that.
Yes, so we kept it at the 50,000 that he got last year at the annual town meeting. We did not give him COLA. So we level funded him.
I have
Oh,
a goal
yeah.
in for him by default, we can definitely visit that. if that's
Yeah, just
what
to-
the board wants.
Yeah, just to talk about that amongst yourselves.
Right, I mean, that is at your discretion, I think.
Yeah.
The other thing I
There are
think,
two FY twenty-five budgets, look at FY twenty-five budget, not FY twenty-five budget two. That was one set aside. Do you see the advisory numbers in there now? In the guys?
Mhm.
Okay, and we'll just have to make sure that there's one master copy that we have, we all know where it is, and we all treat it properly.
yeah, I mean, the only two other differences was we had kept the town administrator number at whatever where is it? Whatever was in the announcement. It was at 89 rather than 90 something, so.
Yeah, so
That
they
saved
were,
us a couple of thousand
Um,
over
What's
the
that?
year
There?
for the town
There?
administrator.
The number I have from you is, probably the 3.2% COLA.
yes. Yes, so we requested her, we level funded it and then we gave her 3.2%.
Okay.
She requested $93,318.63.
It's a small difference,
Yes.
but we just felt since a new person was coming in, that we're
I think she
keeping
requested
it at whatever it was.
3.7%
Okay, with COLA, okay, so I didn't know that, so I level funded it off of the 24 budget and then gave her COLA.
Okay,
So there might be a slight
your recommendation is 3.2% COLA over
Yes.
fiscal year '24. The initial request was 3.7, and then the budget I put in was a 4% COLA to be consistent with everyone else in town. So
Yes,
I think we're all looking to do the same thing, we're just all have different, we just have our
different ways.
difference, we know, but we have our gap in what COLA we pay.
Yes,
But
yes.
we're doing the
gonna
same
have that.
thing, just with each of our own COLA numbers,
Oh,
which
yes.
which I'm fine with. But that's one of the differences there.
Yes.
And let's see.
But besides that, there really wasn't major differences.
That must be that.
Yes.
Because Brad's not touching his computer. And I can see that one.
I don't know where it got
What am I
GC.
called?
Oh, guest contributor, that's interesting.
Oh, because you know, because you're editing through a link rather than through your ID. And so it's like, well, I'll probably shut that link down and share it with you explicitly later.
Okay.
Like I said, I gotta get it through, but I needed a document that was useful for this, and then shareable was next on the list. So, but anyway, coming back to that, so there is there's a $24,000 gap between our budgets. 20,000 of that is legal.
Yeah.
I think in the grand scheme of things, and I think most of the rest of this can be attributed to COLA. Just saying. So, do you guys see any? Do we need to really push on this?
No, the only other one I just wanted to mention to Brad and Beth before I leave was that we had split the difference for the fire chief's salary or stipend, whatever he calls it, request. He had requested 18, I think last year was it 12 or 14?
Yeah, 12,
It was 12.
And we had
12.
put him in at 16, I think, right?
Yes, yeah, we voted.
So
we voted
that'll be a
16.
little bit off, and we have to double check the fire wages because he asked for a big increase for all of his part-time people because he said they were underfunded, but I don't recall what the number was.
Yeah, I have to talk to him because he requested the 66,500. But the question I have for him was, does he want me to add COLA to that, or is he requesting that increase including COLA? Because I know it's for you know, the 20 part-timers, full-timers, whatever over there. So I just need to ask him that if he requested the 66,500
I don't know.
before COLA or after COLA. I couldn't remember.
I do not. We should talk to Chief Martell about that, because his wages account was, this year is 58,710,
Yes, yep.
and he has expended 84% of that, which as of 4/11, that's 2.5 months. So he is on track to slightly overextend that account. But I don't see the overexpenditure being enough to warrant the big increase here. So I would like to understand better how he arrived at his new number.
Yes.
I thought he had told us it was a wage adjustment based on the market.
Yeah, and I thought it had something to do with like the number of incidences.
No, it doesn't have
increase.
anything to do with the number of.
I'm sorry about that, I didn't hear the last, you said it was.
I said it was
just based on what?
It was just a market adjustment, like what other communities are paying their fire chiefs.
Well, he did that for
No,
his,
for
I didn't
his,
see the
but
numbers
for-
for these part-time people, which is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were the part-time part, were the firefighters, were they adjusted when we did the call center adjustment at this year 21 or 22?
it was not a Collins Center adjustment, we adjusted them to get them above minimum wage, when the minimum wage changed.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just want some
Okay,
more
but
information.
it wasn't, we didn't look at market, we just, okay.
But that was two or 3 years ago, right?
It was fiscal year 21 or 22, because I don't see the market adjustments we did in the history here, and this goes back to fiscal year 23.
So if I notice wages flags that are missing, should I change, should I put it in there?
You can put them in there and it will apply them. I think I left it out because it looked like we were not applying COLA to those, or I wasn't sure. But Deborah, let's discuss it, because it's like I would have liked another day or two to
Right.
get completely through this, but it was,
All I was trying to do verbally was sort of give you the key high points so that you
Yep.
go noodle it, because, we spent too many hours on this, which we didn't need to, which is what I said last year also with everything, so it's just, it's the same old story. And we'll get on the same page next year.
and then and then looking at police, I think we need about 43,000. How much do we want to increase this? My thought is that everyone else, our proposal, the uplift from fiscal year 23, if they were getting the COLA that everyone else gets, would be 7%.
I'm sorry?
If the police wages, if they were not subject to collective bargaining agreement and they received the COLA that everyone else who works for the town gets, they would be, fiscal year 25 would be 7% higher than fiscal year 23. So to my mind, that's the starting point.
7%?
7%. They would have got a 3% bump in fiscal year 24 and a 4% bump in fiscal year 25. So technically would have been a little more than 7 because it compounded, but I don't think it's that big a deal. Since it's a budget number, and what they get is going to be based on the contract from arbitration, not on what we put in the budget.
True.
But I'm
Or
more
we could do
saying
7.25, 7.5, and adjust the compounding.
we could. I mean, the question becomes: do we want to do so just 8% just to get a little more in there and reduce the hit? I mean, I could even.
You have it doing a bunch of math somewhere.
I could see going up to 10. I couldn't see myself going past there. Just to make sure there's enough money in there.
Yeah, we're good. And then the police chief, he said that per his contract, he got a 3.2%
Thank you, Jeff.
increase. So just make sure that.
You know,
Yeah, his salary is contracted, and
Yeah.
so that number should be in there.
Yeah, it's like,
Yes.
yeah, and so I think it's like, we can double check what he asked for versus his contract, but I think, it's like, and fundamentally, it's like, he's got a contract, I don't think, if we overfund the wage account, he's not gonna get the extra money.
No, he only asked her, well, so he requested only what,
He requested.
He requested-
he requested his contract,
Yes.
yes. Yeah, he didn't request anything over.
Yeah, no, and I believe he does, but it's always, I trust him, but I like to verify also. And my
Yes.
point is, but if I don't verify and he asks for more than he was technically entitled to, I think he would only get what's in the contract.
Yeah, he would.
Yes.
And therefore, it's not like overfunding the account would obligate us to pay him. So it's like, it would just be money we'd be taxing the citizens that we don't need to, which I prefer to avoid.
Yes.
But if we did tax it, we would get, it would not go to the chief, which is my main concern.
So, because of that whole weirdness with for the police, I'm gonna double check my math when I do this. I was gonna put another cell in there so that we can add 3% and then 4% to that line. Just strictly on the police line to get a number.
Well, if you multiply the PCU 23 number by 1.03 and then multiply that by 1.04, you would effectively compound it in one step.
That's what I'm, yeah, it's actually easier because of the way you set up the formulas in the spreadsheet to go ahead and do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
By just adding
Just instead of, just replace that one plus $2 with whatever multiplier you want.
I think I need to multiply that whole thing by,
You do that.
I'll take it, yeah.
Get pizza or something.
I don't-
Make us work.
I haven't eaten dinner yet. Things gotta be closed.
Last year was 3.5. 3.5 hours. Will be good.
I don't know if it's necessary for me to stay at the end, but I do have two of my grandchildren at my house waiting for me, with my daughter staying with them till I get back, but she doesn't live with me.
Figure it out?
Yeah, except I didn't know, one of your formulas depends on the J column, and I have no idea what's in there.
The J column? Let me see. I can unhide that, but
Yeah, that's
where,
what I was
where,
thinking.
where is which one relies on the J column?
The requested percent increase.
Oh, that is,
Well, and actually, the requested increase is 0, but the select board recommendation
that was more of an informational field.
Yeah.
I don't think anything relying on that J column.
All right, I'm ready to. We've lost Jack and the advisory board. We need to just reconvene on this. What is?
I think we have Sarah.
we do.
You still have Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we're almost past my bedtime.
Okay.
So,
So, well, let's see what we can do. So for police, I think the select board is, your 413.
that's what I got.
606 is, what's inside of T2?
T2's got 3%.
Okay, so
And then I
basically-
added in compounding if I did my formula right. Which roughly speaking, it looks like it's about right, I think. Maybe not.
413, I concur with the number that you came up with. Yeah, I did it in a more straightforward, less flexible manner,
Okay,
but it validates. So I think we have a good number there for,
at least a planning number.
it's like, I don't think it serves the town to level fund that account,
No,
given that the contract will be finalized this year.
yeah,
And so therefore, I think this is a good place to go.
okay.
And so, all right, so
Do we
I'm,
need to do the same thing on the overtime, use that
Yes,
same
we-
formula?
I would say you just copy the formula from 0104 to 0107.
Okay.
I set it up so the formulas could be copied and everything would work the same.
Yeah.
Although we might need to, actually, let me put a W in there because that is the wages.
I didn't like that. Maybe did like that. Yeah, okay, so that worked.
Sure. I got a slightly different number than you.
Well, I don't think my copy paste worked.
Okay. Yeah,
My
you're,
copy
you're,
paste did not work.
Alright. yeah, that looks like it's just a 4% uplift. Would be my guess.
Yeah, it did. Does that look right?
That is the exact number that I came up with.
Okay.
So and I used the same style format I did last time. All right. So I think that settles the police for what we want to recommend.
Yep.
All right. And fire department, we have there's the increase in fire wages and there's the chief's salary. I would like information if he is marking the market. I would like data to support that.
Asked them to come in May 2nd.
Yes. And then the other, fire expenses, I was chatting with Kelly about that. He said 72, but she was saying that she thought he was always overextended. I need to look at that. I'm not seeing his expense report. He's 70, fire expenses is 72%, which is under 25%, and we are just past 3/4 of the way through the year. So he is on target to come in under, but not by much. I just don't know if he's sitting on a bunch of bills,
Right.
and so I think we need to. I think we need to tell him that we need to suggest that if he does have bills, he needs to get them in, because now is the time to get that budget done right, rather than what we've done a lot for this year, was have to make transfers around to cover the shortfall in that expense account. I know he got a big bump this year in fire expenses, so I would hope that he has enough. But, don't know. Right, so we want information on wages, chief salary, and we just want to confirm fire expenses. Everything else, I think, is good. He has all, oh, you know what's gonna happen? I know what's gonna happen. His testing and recertification account and his fixed asset accounts are fully depleted. So now that they're depleted, he's not going to ask them to be topped up. He's gonna start paying for things that would normally be paid for those accounts by expenses. And he's gonna burn through expenses. That's what he's done every time I looked into it.
Yeah.
And so therefore, it's like we need to look into it, when we have him in, we also need to talk to him about what would be the right level of funding for his accounts. Because I think chronically underfunding them does not serve the town's needs.
Agreed.
And so, I mean, I know we've been bumping it up, but it is what it is. Alright, so we got a lot to talk about fire. I would just leave fire. We'll talk about it that next time. Telephone contract. Oh yeah, we're half expended and we're 3/4 the way through the year. Karen, are we paying less for telephones now that we redid the phone system here?
Absolutely, yes, we're paying less,
Alright.
yes.
Well then let's and
Reflect that in the budget.
yes, do we have good visibility and good certainty as to what our telephone expenses are going to be for the year?
Well, I
It's
know
just a
that,
question with some things.
that Kelly had that figure, she figured it out, and I think that's how she did the budget, so I don't know why. I know she did, because
okay,
we provided her with all that info.
We had $8,000 this year, and she asked for 7,200. But
She was provided all the phone bills, because we read them all out.
we've used, I mean, maybe they're late billing us, and the expenditure only reflects the,
Well, we're definitely saving money with the town hall phones, that's for sure.
okay. I mean, it's like, it's
So, I don't know why it's that
it's an
figure.
$800 reduction. There's not
Yeah.
a lot of money to be had here. So I'm not gonna, we'll come back to this time available, but I don't think the amount of money here is worth us getting sidetracked.
Please.
And then let's see, now we get the inspectors. Got a COLA for the inspector, next week, in 2 weeks, we're gonna have to talk about the retiring inspector. We don't wanna let that slide too much. Not tonight. And the EMA stipend is going up by $700. Let's talk to Pete about that, since he's the one to talk to. I don't know if he's marking the market, or if there's more duties remaining on that position.
Yeah.
It's going up, so I wanna understand. If it makes sense, it makes sense. And then the gap between advisory and select board is $26,000, but I think most of that is, 20,000 of that is the adjustments we made to police. Because advisory's recommendation was based on level funding, because that's what was requested of them. And so my request for advisory is to look at what we're recommending and consider supporting that, just based on, if you need more information, let us know. But I'd like to have advisory's concurrence on that.
Alright. What do you have for, can you just let me know what you have for numbers for the police?
After this, I will send you a snapshot of our budget document.
Okay.
And then that way you can look at it, and that'll give you a chance to look at what we're looking at and get there. And if I can
That's what you
figure out a
updated,
way,
am I gonna be able to access that, is that the shared file that we've been using right under the meetings headline, one that it's not,
then I will
someone
do
sent
that
it to
because
me, or
then
show me how to get a link, because
whenever
I'm
you
using
see
the
that.
one that,
Okay, so
Because that's
if you,
what I
updated
love
the
is
one
is
that
you just
Kelly
tell us
originally
the numbers
did.
up, I've added into the spreadsheet.
okay, so if you go to your managed protection, you can unlock certain cells. So
Something over
if
here.
you highlight the certain
Thank
cells,
you.
I'll be able to
Yeah.
just touch those.
And my thought is I would, Yeah, I don't know what Kelly locked, my thought is I would lock everything with numbers and then leave the stuff off to the right as scratch space.
Yes,
I don't know if she only unlocked that advisory call.
yeah,
Okay.
she did, so I had no like scratch space in the other one.
I'll give you
so-
scratch space.
Yeah, so I was like, I need like scratch space to work off.
Gotcha. All right, schools, I think we understand schools and that at the moment, we're gonna let it ride and let the town have its say.
Well,
The,
I don't think we really, fundamentally, we could go back to the school committee and ask them to shave.
When we, yeah, and
Is that, and I don't know, my assumption is what we got back was no, because it's special ed requirement.
that I do know that the school budget, I talked to the school board and Deb Boyd and Dr. Osterman, about the budget. And my understanding is that they have two positions that were funded by grant money, that the grant money is ending in fiscal year '24.
It was basically like ARPA.
And they were looking to continue them on as, but carried on the budget from the, but not funded by grant anymore. And so, and when the revenue numbers didn't look as good because there was an error in there, I did give them a heads up that we may need to come back to them. And they were,
So
so
did they have
were-
a reason for the, like, the change in the transportation costs?
new contract this year. 25 is a new 3-year contract. So it's jumping up.
Yeah, and why is advisory have it?
Advisory
Level
has
funded.
it level funded, and it's like,
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either.
All right, so.
was that intentional, or was that?
No, it was not intentional. So it's supposed to be 50,325.
Yeah, is that a clerical error?
Yes, that's.
I see,
Okay,
I see,
that's fine.
I
I made plenty of those, Sarah, so don't.
see 50,290.
Yeah, but.
Oh, all right, 50,219 you have? All right.
But Sarah, if clerical error and advisory has asked for that, then I can update mine now, because I want
Yes.
to select what advisory decided. Where if you say, no, we approved the wrong number, I need to wait for you. But, so
Yeah.
let me update the number to
Update
reflect
the number.
your will. There we go. And the same with expenses. The elementary school expenses, the number I had from you was level funded for this year '24, it did not reflect an increase.
Yes, so they're asking for 3.875, correct? Or
Um,
no?
yes,
Yes, 3.8.
yeah, the number I got from you with your recommended.
Yes, it was,
was-
yes, was the 3.570, I didn't add the extra 350,000.
All right, so there we go. So, okay, so I will update that number also.
Yes.
And so now what I have for, and regional school assessment also, let me see. You have the fiscal year '24 number for regional school assessment also, you have the fiscal year '25 request.
What
So it looks
was,
like,
what was the request, 1.823?
no, I have 1.789566 now.
All right, what is it, 1,
1.798
yep,
566.
nice. Okay,
All right, so. That's all, so.
all right.
So there you go. So now advisory and, let's see. And my thought is the select board is now good with, the request from the school. A total of 5.727153.
Yes, yes, I can see that.
I also just popped into the F-125 for Zoom COLA and just messed with your formula and did 40 hours times 2040 to the highway superintendent salary.
Mhm.
That's what we voted.
Yep.
So now you've got a proper number in there, it made it pop up about $2,000 from what you had.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. That pushes things up, but
It does, but it is what it is. We're getting a backup water superintendent for the
Yeah, that was gonna cost us money.
And, I had a loose comment with John Towns about that. I mean, should water put in for any of that?
I think that's one of those things that's.
I mean, it's net no change, it's just,
It's one of those, my thought is that,
Our
Let's-
water isn't self-funded, so
That's-
that they use the funds from the water department to pay for capital improvements to the water system.
Mhm.
But we, the town, pay the water superintendent's salary,
Mhm.
and none of the salaries come from the water. So, if we were to move, if we were to move to a self-funding model similar to the ambulance, then we would have to actually get charged by our own water department for our access to our hydrants.
Mhm.
That turns into accounting good.
yes, that's, I can see that. I thought the water revenues went into the, I thought they went into general revenues.
They do, well,
And so therefore there just wasn't enough
You know,
revenue for them to be self-funding.
no,
Especially not the capital.
our water goes, I'm not sure, but there is, I don't think our water goes in general revenues, I think our water goes into water revenues. But our water department is not fully funded under whatever Mass General Law would make them a separate entity.
In local receipts, there's $156,000 charges for services water.
Right, yeah,
So I think that's the water department revenue.
right, but
And so-
that's why that's why I'm saying though, that water department wouldn't necessarily fund it.
I mean, I think effectively their
Their receipts do go into a separate account, that's what we're pulling the capital improvement for the water funding out of.
really, because that $156,000 is showing as general revenue, and therefore it's reducing the levy. It doesn't look like it's going into a special account. That money's not going to special account. It may not be the water revenues, but it
Some
may not be all.
portion of what they take in does.
I know there is a water capital account. I was not.
But we don't put, we never put money into it. Well, I mean, we put money into it, but it's transferred out of, it's a transfer, it's not a.
I wonder if that's if part of the revenues are sent to general fund and part of it's sent to capital. That may be where it's divided.
It's got the water surplus account.
Yes, that's what it's called.
So some amount of what they take in goes to the water surplus. I don't know what all.
Yeah, and then it's like, that's fine, but some of it does go to the general fund, which
Right.
offsets the cost of the operating the water department, pays for the water superintendent, pays for some of their expenses.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Effectively.
in the rec manner, yes.
Yes, it's
So
not,
they are not self-funded.
they are not self-funded, and those water revenues are not
Earmarked.
encumbered against water department expenses.
They're
It's
not-
general revenue, and it helps pay for the water department part of the budget.
Correct.
Alright. So I would say at this point, it's probably not a big enough deal to make it worthwhile. If it turns out to be, we can revisit it next year. It's one of those, I don't want to spend all the effort and find out, yeah, it's about $2,000 a year.
Right.
Well, and if it comes in for water purposes, we can charge for water.
Mhm.
Just not a regular salary.
Mhm.
So let's see, so we've got advisory's recommendation is 418,607. The 4% COLA number we have is 426,742, which is an $8,000 difference.
Where are you talking about?
I'm looking at highway, public works. Since we're talking about that.
So did you guys, Sarah, have highway super at the 75 because?
We had it at 73,000 because it was decided that we didn't want to give him the 79,000. whoever he, she, whoever the superintendent would be.
All right, well, we
So
have
if-
hired,
so
we have
if-
hired
so
them
it's a
at
cut.
that, we have hired them at that new rate, so,
Okay,
it's just, and it's just one of those, I think we got a good
So in a,
candidate, and
so in a,
we,
in a labor market where we can't find a human being in the CDL that actually wants to pick up the shovel, we were gonna have to pay down the superintendent for a little superintendent that we couldn't even get at qualified applicants.
and you got a water operator license. It's like, I think this is the best deal the town's going to get in a long time.
I don't mind standing in front of that meeting.
Yeah.
Look at the perfect. That's a new one.
now I'll talk to them on
Yeah.
Tuesday
Mhm.
to see if we can revote to get it to the 79,000.
There's a new number,
81,600.
81,600.
Oh,
79 was what we were budgeting.
yep,
He came in a little above what we budgeted, but
okay,
with all that he brought, we decided that it was worth it.
okay, so what's the new number?
81,600.
Okay,
All right, and then snow and ice, we're just uplifting ice with the wages. Cemetery is. I'm missing here, cemetery. Sorry, I've got cemetery improvements. That's fine. 1 second, I have a calculation error, and it's fixed.
There you go.
Yes. And so we are less than $1,000 above advisory. Advisory is 33,200. We're at 34,065, and I think that is all on.
And
That's
public,
all on wages.
and public works total was 10 grand difference.
And I think that's all. I think that's primarily the water superintendent and the difference in COLAs. So I think we are effectively in alignment here. There's nothing unusual here. Board of Health agent.
yes.
I think that's a, we should discuss, I can discuss this with Maureen offline, but she may want to discuss it with the board. From my discussion, they want a Board of Health agent, they say it's not going to affect the tax rate. I've talked to Kelly and the accountant about this, and because this is a new position, we cannot offset the expenditure with any expected revenue. We need to establish a track record of revenue for this position in order to put it on in order to project it as revenue. And so therefore, it's going to cost us additionally. The Board of Health has a revolving account that, to my mind, would be the perfect place to pay for this health agent. The fees collected by the health agent goes to the revolving account and then pays for them to do their work.
And so zero that out, or?
So my thought is that we should be talking to the Board of Health and explaining to them that that in order to achieve their goal of not impacting the tax rate for this position, the revolving account, using the revolving account to receive the monies that that they collect and then to pay the cost of this person makes sense. They're also, historically, we haven't spent a lot of money on this position. Like I think Kelly's notes said, yeah, I'm confident it was less than 1,000. I want to say it was less than 700.
Yeah, I think it was like 600 and something.
Board Health transfer station.
So we can use the revolving account for that.
That was my understanding.
If it's legal to use the revolving account for that, I don't object.
Okay, I will consult with Lori on that. And, my recollection is that Lori was concurrent that the revolving account was the right place, but I will.
And then we zero that out, or?
And if that's the case, then we would talk to the Board of Health and say, we're not going to fund this from in the operating budget. We recommend if you want to hire this person, you use the revolving account. And if they need to see money to get started, we can negotiate that. But my thought is that there might be some money in that revolving account to get them started anyway. I don't know where that is right now. Again, Lori would tell us that. But I think that is the better way to achieve what the Board of Health wants. If it fizzles, then it doesn't impact the budget. If they need to use that person a lot, then they're bringing in a lot of fees from what they're doing and from their inspections, and it covers their costs.
So why are we recommending, I'm sorry, and I moved on to the next thing, because I really do want to go home. It looks like we didn't do anything with the transfer station, which is all well and good. Why are we recommending 4,200 when advisory agreed to the, close to the higher requested number for the council of the aging to get more hours on their senior director?
That's probably, I would call that a clerical error. It's got wages next to it, so it's just, it reflects just
The
COLA
formula?
uplift,
Okay.
rather than
So
the.
should I just copy over advisory's number and we'll agree with them?
Yeah, I'm good with that now. My one, it's like, just part of me saying, yeah, the budget's tight, we can come back, if the budget's tight, we can come back to it.
Because you just copied that number over, it just, changed that cell.
What's that?
You copied that number over, it just changed that cell calculation.
Yeah, the council of aging on director, I got that map from doing, they increased her hours, so I took, the 1957 that she makes and gave them increase in hours. They also asked for an increase in pay, we did not give her the increase in pay, we just gave her the increase in hours.
Right, but she resigned and now we're hiring a new person.
Yes.
So I figure it's a good placeholder budget for hiring a new person.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
if it's an hour or two less than they wanted,
Yeah.
I think we live with it. It's a significant increase.
Yes.
And so, I mean, and to a certain extent, I think they demonstrated that they are growing the program and that they earn more resources to keep serving the seniors in town. So I'm not opposed to that principle.
Okay.
But,
Is there a reason why we level funded the library director?
okay, you hold on. Let's see. Did you change that number? Because that number matches with the fiscal year 25 request. Level funded would be 65,000.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry about
Okay,
that.
no worries.
Nope.
So I'm going, I don't think I would have done that. And then for the library wages, we're within $1,000, and I think that's again COLA, that's the COLA cap.
Yeah.
Everything else, I think we're good down to there, and then I don't think any of us, the debt and interest and assessments are all fairly technical and not very discretionary.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think we should pay our debt. We're smarter than that.
Debt comes first.
Yes.
It's also a small enough number relative to the size of the budget that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
debt,
still
debt is
in budget.
smaller. Assessments.
Assessments, that's pretty brutal.
As I say, group health and life and Worcester County retirement. It's like the increase every year. It's just like,
That's a good.
yeah, there's not much we can do there. And then the water department. The water department requested a Pelton COLA, which we have, we're recommending, and the number I have is a consistent 4%. We thought that, we can always discuss it, but I thought a consistent COLA was the right starting point for tonight's discussion.
Yep. So is water requesting that because of the labor market for water folks?
No, that's an inflation-driven request. If you go to the water detail tab, they break down like what the COLA was in 22, 23, and 24. And I think their intention is that
they're trying to
This
catch
year,
up.
this year 25 is they're trying to get them all caught up. Is what that number intends, is what they requested. And while that sounds nice, I don't think there's room in the budget for that. At least, there's not room in the budget I'm comfortable recommending for that.
Right.
If the floor wants to increase that, then we'll increase it.
As evidenced by our town clerk last year.
Yes. And that brings us to the end of the document.
Did I miss the thing on technology with the website?
Well, we sort of glossed over technology. If you want to talk about the website and give a specific agenda item, that's we didn't miss it. But we can talk about that now because the technology budget does have.
Where is the technology?
It's near the end, second to last. When you bring up the list of tabs. That with this hamburger menu down there brings you the full list of tabs. Just scroll to the bottom.
I'm just questioning if she had it in there.
She does. My recollection, she does. Like Civic Plus forcing upgrade, annual fee estimate for new website host,
Yeah.
online. Oh, that's permanized. So there's a line for new website migration and a line for new website hosting, along with the existing Civic Plus. For those who follow Only Fold, our current website vendor that supports the town of Brookfield.ma.us, or no, Brookfield.ma.us. The Brookfield.ma.us website that the town uses is hosted by a company called Civic Plus. Civic Plus has given us what we in sales call go away pricing. They are, and Beth knows the real one. So basically they're saying you can still be a customer, but it's going to cost you a whole lot more. When we're not interested in paying a whole lot more. The contract with Civic Plus goes through the end of the calendar year. So we don't have to be off them by the end of the fiscal year, but that is a summer-fall project. And so what we're discussing is in the budget is that there is money in the technology budget for identifying a new vendor, planning the migration, and then a little bit of overlap period because we're going to have that new site going and soft launch it and get all the kinks worked out before we move on to before our Civic contract services end on December 31st.
Since they gave us the go away pricing, are they at least gonna release our material? My understanding is sometimes they're difficult to get your stuff off of.
I don't think anything on the website is all that difficult to get off because it's mostly stuff that we put up or just layout stuff we put in there. I don't think there's a lot of historical information or transaction information that we're due. I would say that I am interested in maintaining professional third-party hosting and not having someone's brother slap together a website for us.
There is a lot of other vendors. I mean, West Brookfield has a different vendor well, they already kind of were using their brother. And they went to a vendor, and I haven't researched it. That's why I had it on the agenda. Is it something you want me to research? But it was before I realized how close do you think we are to a town administrator?
Ask me this time tomorrow night.
I mean,
I'll have a much better idea.
I can work on it if need be, but everyone's them.
Why don't we wait and see, because that would
All right.
definitely be something for the new town administrator to work on, and that would be a good get your feet wet kind of project.
Three interviews to run.
All three are coming in. I've set aside an hour on the agenda for each, so that we will not be rushed. So we'll be here. We could be here until 9:15. So maybe at the very beginning of the meeting, we'll move to extend to at least 9:15.
Okay.
I do have a quick question about that. So are you gonna look into not using My Town Government anymore?
My town government is separate. My town government is for meeting notices and postings. It is not
Different vendor altogether.
It is, and it's volunteer. I don't think it costs us anything.
Yeah, so like, okay, because the reason why I asked is like, okay, so I'm gonna compare it to Spencer. So Spencer, we upload all of our agendas, all of our minutes to our website, and that counts as our.
And I believe they use Civic Plus, because that is a feature of Civic Plus that we just don't have.
I don't know, I can
in our
find out what we use.
I can
Yeah,
look at
find
that.
out.
Yeah, so I didn't know, so I just didn't know if like we were gonna continue using My Town Government and keep the website, or if we were gonna switch everything over to the website and get rid of My Town Government.
I think that at the moment, that's not the.
Yeah, they're using
If
Civic.
they're open to it, but.
They're using the bundled product that does the minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But, yeah, and who's there is Spencer does?
and they use Civic Plus.
Okay, but that's probably an extra module.
I'd be interested to see what they're spending. It looks like they're probably spending quite a bit.
Yeah.
They ain't got the fancy with.
Oh,
Yeah, it looks like
oh,
they
yeah.
got the good one.
Yeah, everyone has a login, like I can go in and edit anything.
And it's good, don't get me wrong.
No, it is, you know,
For the money you're spending, it's very turnkey and nice.
And
But
that's
it's
why
a
they're
lot more
moving.
than.
Yeah.
Well, the only expense for us to go up to that is that 20,000. The ongoing is probably between 5 and 8.
5 and 800.
5 and 8,000. But it would probably consolidate. The reason to go to that is it consolidates a lot of other things that we're paying for.
Like,
Well, I think we're not considering we're not considering Civic Plus because
Right.
where the pricing is going. So, I mean, I guess technically, if they are forcing everyone to go up to the tier where things like that are included, and we were sort of looking at it anyway, I would say we'd be remiss in not just verifying that it's whether or not it's a good deal.
I didn't think it
Because
was.
it might have been just saying, oh, the price is going up, we're staying away.
That was Kelly's opinion. Mine was, it's pretty good what they got.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if they're just raising the price of what we got, it's like, okay, that's one thing. If they're saying we're getting rid of that lower tier and you have to start at the higher tier with more services, then it's a question of, do those services make sense for us to offer?
Right.
And it's like, and I'd say we'd be remiss in not looking into it.
Yeah.
It may turn out, no, it's not worth it, or they say, well, there's a great value here.
Right.
But I think we should investigate it, whether that's you, Brad, or whether it's the town administrator.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they can do all their payments through there. I don't think it's through Unibank, it's probably all through Civic Plus.
No, it's through Unipay.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So then-
But you can pay your building inspector, you can pay your plumbing inspector, you can pay anything.
yeah.
So, what I would like is, if we're done going through the budget, I would like a motion to approve, before that.
Second.
Is I will take a motion from the board to approve for the select board to recommend a budget to town, at $10,577,360.06, reflecting the document we have in front of us now.
you have that motion.
Second.
All right, thank you. Now, just for discussion before we get there, the intention will be, this will lock in our recommendation. We will have the opportunity to reconsider this. I'll go through it, I'll scrub it. If we find any errors or any irregularities, or something comes up in our discussion with Peter next week, we'll make edits as needed. But this is sort of a baseline budget, and we'll make adjustments from there. Karen? I will send you a copy of this document.
Yes.
That will serve as a record of the meeting, and Sarah will also
It's the
send you
basis
a
of
copy
the
of it.
motion.
And so, therefore, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as there's none, all in favor of adopting the budget at, recommending a budget to town meeting at $10,577,360.06, say aye. Thank you. Deb?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning at 9:40 p.m., please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we're out of here.
5 minutes shorter than last.